Chapter 2146. Devourer losing to such a person was not shameful at all, as he was far more powerful than ordinary geniuses. Moreover, he did not seem to have used his full power. Suddenly, a massive roar sounded out as a terrifying gray aura flame rushed out from a pile of rubble. The massive power sent countless boulders flying, and a terrifying and evil aura flooded out. Within a large crater, Devourer stood there. His appearance had greatly changed. His hair had become much longer and fluffier, and his eyes had become pure black. A bone horn had grown on his head, and his skin was pale. His hands had become much larger like claws, and there were many mouths filled with fangs on his back. The power that Devourer gave off was incredibly terrifying, and it seemed to be able to devour everything. Because of his appearance, the heavens and earth started to change. Everyone felt quite surprised. They had never thought the Devourer would not lose and would explode out with such terrifying power. Boom, boom, boom. Devourer gave off an aura that seemed to devour the heavens and earth as he rushed at the young man. The ground and space seemed to be devoured by a formless energy, giving off massive sounds. The ground and sky quickly disappeared, creating a terrifying scene. In just an instant, the corpse devourer once again rushed up to the young man and raised a sharp claw, giving off destructive power as it grabbed towards the young man. It gave off a sharp aura. The young man swung his saber, and a platinum-colored saber light containing immense power slashed out. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the claw and saber collided, causing a powerful gale to blow out. Seeing that one of its claws had been blocked, Devourer's expression became savage as it swung its other claw, giving off ferocious power as it grabbed towards the young man. The young man immediately retreated, dodging Devourer's claw. Devourer stretched out a hand, and a gray-white hole appeared at the center of his palm. A terrifying devouring power flowed out, forming a massive orb that shot towards the young man, devouring the ground and space. Bang! The young man swung his saber, and a sharp saber light slashed out, destroying the gray-white orb. A shocking devouring power exploded out, and everything in the surroundings seemed to have been devoured, causing a massive crater to appear. The young man was forced back a few steps by this power, and he looked quite surprised. Devouring corpse gathered a massive amount of power into its outstretched hand, and a circular hole appeared in its palm. Waves of devouring power surged out, turning into massive spheres that shot towards the young man. Bang, bang, bang. The young man swung the saber in his hand, and platinum-colored saber lights containing shocking power slashed towards the gray-white orbs, causing them to explode. The orbs exploded and gave off a devouring power that devoured everything in the surroundings. This caused the young man to continuously retreat to avoid being injured by the devouring power. Suddenly, the devourer's body appeared above the young man's head. It pointed a hand to the young man, and a terrifying devouring power surged out, instantly enveloping the young man's body, forming a huge grayish-white circle that enveloped the young man. At that moment, the corpse devourer's face revealed a savage grin. He controlled his devouring power to devour the young man with all his might. At that moment, the corpse devourer really wanted to devour the young man to vent the anger in his heart. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as countless platinum-colored saber lights shot out from the gray-white orbs, and a terrifying saber energy spread out. The corpse devourer's expression fell, and it could not react in time. The gray-white orb shattered, and the saber in the young man's hand gave off a blinding saber light. He vigorously slashed out, and a massive saber light containing immense power slashed towards the corpse devourer. Bang! The corpse devourer was sent flying hundreds of meters and crashed to the ground, coughing up a large mouthful of blood. A gash appeared on its abdomen, from which large amounts of blood flowed out. The intense pain caused corpse devourer to howl in pain. Following that, the mouths filled with fangs on his back all opened up, emitting a terrifying devouring power. All of the power in the surroundings was devoured, and corpse devourer's injuries quickly healed. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the corpse devourer ferociously looked at the young man and exploded out with all of its devouring power. The fanged mouths on its back opened to their fullest, and waves of devouring power flowed out. The devouring power wrapped around the devourer's body, forming a gigantic, illusory lizard. The moment the lizard was formed, it gave off a world-devouring power. The ground and space continuously disappeared as a jet-black primal chaos appeared, and it continued to spread, covering the surrounding thousands of meters. The terrifying aura caused people to feel despair. Boom! The corpse devourer's illusory lizard gave off terrifying power as it rushed at the young man. Everything in the world disappeared, as if it was going to devour the world. The young man's gaze was serious as he raised his saber and lightly shouted, "World extermination!" Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the saber exploded out with countless traces of saber chi. These traces of saber chi formed a 9-meter-wide orb, and the saber chi continuously shot out in all directions. Each trace of saber chi contained destructive power, and the entire orb gave off a destructive saber energy. It was as if space itself was unable to withstand the power of the saber. Long cracks appeared, and the ground continuously collapsed. Everyone within a radius of 10 kilometers could sense how terrifying this power was. The illusory lizard gave off an all-devouring power as it rushed at the young man. The young man vigorously slashed out, and the orb of saber flew out with shocking power. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the all-devouring power collided with the massive saber chi, resulting in a terrifying explosion. A semicircular barrier appeared and spread out in an instant. The ground, trees, boulders, and grass within were all turned to dust. The ground violently trembled as terrifying auras continuously flowed out, causing all creatures in the surroundings to run in terror. Some of the people nearby sensed this terrifying power and understood that there were peerless geniuses fighting. They excitedly smiled and quickly flew over. They did not want to miss this battle. Even though the people outside the secret realm could watch through mirrors, it was not as realistic as being there. This was an advantage that they did not have. After everything settled, there was a massive crater that was tens of thousands of meters wide in the ground. There were also saber gashes on the ground, looking quite terrifying. The corpse devourer lay at the center of the crater, covered with blood, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Looking at the bloodied corpse devourer, the young man wanted to kill him, but he gave up on that thought. He did not fear the faction behind the corpse devourer, but he felt that it would be quite troublesome and would ruin his plans. As such, the young man coldly harumphed and sent out a wave of power. Bandages once again appeared and wrapped around the saber. Chapter 21:47. Seeing that the young man had not killed Corpse Devourer, the people from the Corpse Devourer faction let out a sigh of relief. Facing someone with a supreme weapon like the Heaven and Earth Divine Saber, they felt quite wary. If Corpse Devourer had really been killed by the young man and they took revenge, it would cause a great disaster. Everyone else looked over and saw that the young man had easily defeated Corpse Devourer, and they all looked at him in awe. This young man was simply too powerful, and they felt that he had not even used his full strength. At the very least, he could enter the top 3. News quickly spread. Just who was this young man? Why did he have the Heaven and Earth Divine Saber and such a terrifying identity? No one had ever heard of him before. Before, only a small group of people knew about this young man, but now that they heard that he had defeated the 7th-ranked genius, everyone in the secret realm knew about him. This was especially so for the top 10 geniuses. Tian Yu frowned. Things were becoming more and more out of his expectations. Everything was messed up, and terrifying people jumped out one after another, making him feel a trace of unease. Tian Yu instinctively felt threatened by the person with the Heaven and Earth Divine Saber, and it was a powerful threat that he could not ignore. Mielu also felt a headache. She understood how terrifying the Heaven and Earth Divine Saber was. This person would definitely fight for the position of the ruler of the gods, and he was another powerful competitor. It was simply too difficult to obtain the position of the ruler of the gods. Not only was it the owner of the heaven and earth divine saber, but it was also that person who had obtained countless Lord God's legacies. He was someone who even the Lord God statues were inclined towards, and it was likely that he was the legendary second king of kings. After hearing about this, Mialu felt a headache, and God Ker's expression became even more unsightly. He had wanted to use the ruler of the gods to awaken the god race's emperor star, but now that so many terrifying people had appeared, it would be very difficult for him to obtain the ruler of the gods. Sha Ming, Shun Qianhua, Yu Chan, and the others' expressions were also quite unsightly. Their chances of obtaining the ruler of the gods were quite small, and with so many terrifying people, it would be very difficult for them to surpass them. They could sense that in the later stages, these truly terrifying people would fight, and they would only be able to watch. Now, there had been 3 battles between geniuses, and 2 geniuses had been defeated. Even though they still had a chance of not being teleported out of the secret realm, they would not be able to obtain the ruler of the gods. After all, someone who had lost to someone else would not be able to obtain the ruler of the gods. The ruler of the gods had to be the strongest and would not be defeated by someone else. At this moment, the young man looked at the corpse of the woman whose head had been crushed. He stretched out a finger and tapped it lightly. A platinum-colored light shot out and entered the body of the corpse. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the corpse gave off an intense white-gold light, and a powerful aura spread out. At the same time, the woman's divinity gave off a blue divine power. Even though the woman's head had been exploded by the devouring corpse, she could sense her surroundings through the king's devoured body. She understood that it was the young man who had saved her, and she gratefully knelt on the ground, saying, "Thank you, sir, for saving my life. I am willing to be sir's servant and listen to sir's orders." This young man was a terrifying person who could defeat even geniuses, and his power was terrifying. Staying by his side would definitely bring unimaginable benefits. As such, not only was the woman extremely grateful to the young man, but she was also willing to be his servant. The young man lightly laughed. "Apologies. I didn't intend to do that." The woman knelt on the ground, unwilling to give up, and she pleaded, "Sir, please allow me to repay your kindness. Someone of your status needs a servant to take care of you, and I am willing to do my best to take care of sir. If sir doesn't like it, it won't be too late to chase me away." Hearing this, the young man thought about it and smiled as he said, "All right then, what is your name?" The woman gave a happy smile and said respectfully, "Sir, my name is Lan Lo. How should I address sir?" The young man gave a trace of smile as he replied, "I understand. You can call me Hao Dao." Lan Lo looked at the young man and smiled as she nodded. She felt that even though Hao Dao's identity was terrifying, he was very gentle, and Lan Lu could not help but like him. Zhao Fu felt that terrifying ripple and felt that it was somewhat familiar. This was a heaven-splitting saber chi, and only the young man he had met before had it. Even though Zhao Fu did not know which geniuses had fought, the result was definitely that person, the young fire god. Zhao Fu was quite wary of this person and felt that he was very ordinary. He would definitely fight with him in the future. "What's wrong?" Hualing asked as she looked at Zhao Fu, who was standing there in deep thought. Zhao Fu came back to his senses and hugged Hualing as he lightly smiled and said, "It's nothing. Let's continue searching for the core god's legacy land." Hualing's face became slightly red, and she did not resist. She obediently followed Zhao Fu and flew to the side. After searching for a while, Zhao Fu could not sense the entrance to the legacy land nearby, because he was quite close to where Jiu Yun and the others were waiting. Zhao Fu understood that the 3rd stage of the competition would begin soon, and he needed to raise his god's mark to the gold level. Now that Jiu Yun and the others were waiting for him, they would not have many points and would only be at the silver level. If they could not reach the gold level, they would be forcefully teleported out of the mystic realm. After teleporting out of the mystic realm, they would remain on the platform. There were countless experts there, and Zhao Fu was worried that his identity might be exposed. If Jiu Yun teleported out, he would be in great danger, and many experts could use this to threaten Zhao Fu. Moreover, the three goddesses of time were very important to Zhao Fu, and nothing could happen to them. Otherwise, all of Zhao Fu's hard work would have been in vain. At that moment, more than 100 deities stared at Jiu Yun and the others, who were on the grass. There were battles everywhere in the mystic realm, and they wanted to obtain points to stay. It was all that person's fault for starting the second stage of the competition in advance. Now, the third stage was about to begin. If it had not been for that person, everyone would not have had to work so hard. Everyone in the mystic realm hated that person to the core. The group of deities saw that there were only 4 people in Jiu Yun's group, and the god's mark on the back of their hands was silver. As long as they defeated them, they would obtain a lot of points. Moreover, it would not be difficult for more than 100 deities to face 4 deities. Jiu Yun and the 3 goddesses of time looked a little serious, but they were not afraid at all. After all, they were not ordinary deities. The 3 goddesses of time were very powerful, and Jiu Yun had fused with the God Emperor's power, making her very powerful. It would not be difficult for her to deal with more than 100 deities. Chapter 2148. A beautiful woman dressed in a red dress coquettishly laughed as she said, "You don't need me to say anything now, right? Hand over your points, and we can consider sparing your lives." Jiu Yun smiled as she replied, "Are you that confident? Do you think you can easily subdue us?" The beautiful woman gave a trace of a confident smile as she said, "We have 130 godly spirits, while you only have 4. Adding on Fat Cat, the outcome is obvious. I don't need to say anything else." An ugly big man loudly laughed as he shouted, "Don't waste time. Everyone, attack together and take everything from them. The 4 of them are so beautiful. I want to enjoy them." An ordinary-looking young man next to him laughed lewdly as he said, "That's right. Everyone, attack together. If you want to play with them, put in more effort. It's rare to see such beautiful goddesses." Jiu Yun's expression became cold as her body instantly disappeared. In the next second, she appeared in front of the ordinary-looking young man and raised her hand with shocking power as she slapped the young man's face, sending him flying. The young man fell to the ground, half of his face red and swollen, and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. This sudden change gave everyone a big fright, and they instinctively retreated. Jiu Yun coldly laughed as she said, "You want to touch me with your lowly status?" Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive wave of Emperor God power exploded out and spread out like a tide. A formless might covered everyone's bodies, causing them to instinctively feel fear. The crowd immediately started to panic, and there was a lot of noise. Heavens! It's Emperor God power, and it's even more terrifying than a king god's. I can't afford to offend her, so I'll be leaving first. What happened just now had nothing to do with me. I just came over to take a look. Esteemed lady, if you have anything to say, look for them. This has nothing to do with me. I'm leaving as well. I can't afford to offend her, and after I go out, I'll definitely be hunted down by her faction. Moreover, she's so powerful. I feel like she can beat 30 or 40 of us. If she wants to leave, we won't be able to stop her. Wait for me. I'm leaving as well. Her identity is already so terrifying, and there are 3 goddesses standing there. They're so beautiful and have extraordinary auras, so their identities must be terrifying as well. Going against such a person is courting death. When 100 or so people saw Jiu Yun display the power of the Emperor God, they were so frightened that they fled in all directions. The Emperor God was even more terrifying than an ordinary royal-level faction. It was not inferior to an ordinary emperor-level faction. A person with such a powerful divine emperor's power was almost on par with a crown prince. Ordinary gods like them wouldn't dare to talk about such a crown prince. Shirkuin and the other 2-time goddesses were speechless. They had just wanted to get rid of these people, but now they had all run away. The beautiful woman and the other 2 men saw that everyone had run away in fear. They did not know each other and had just gathered together. Naturally, there was no unity to speak of. The 3 of them wanted to run away, but Jiu Yun's gaze fell on them. The three of them were so frightened that they immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. They understood that they were no match for Jiu Yun. If they dared to run, they would definitely die there. The two men knelt on the ground and said, "Esteemed young miss, we were blind to have offended you, but now we know we were wrong. Please don't kill us." The beautiful young woman also begged, "Sir, please don't worry. I didn't mean to offend you, and I only asked you to hand over your points. I didn't mean to harm your consciousnesses. Please let us off this time." Hearing this, the two men inwardly cursed. The young woman's words formed a stark contrast. The young woman only wanted points, while the two of them wanted points and people. She was simply trying to kill them. The two men knelt on the ground and immediately kowtowed as they said, "Esteemed young miss, we were wrong. We promise we won't do it again. We swear that we're begging you." Jiu Yun looked at the three of them and gave a trace of a smile. She did not have a terrifying identity, but her Emperor God's power was quite terrifying. This power was given to her by Zhao Fu. Thinking about Zhao Fu, Jiu Yun felt immense admiration and love. His identity surpassed Jiu Yun's imagination, and everyone knew about him. Jiu Yun's gaze fell on the beautiful young woman. She was the type that Zhao Fu liked. Jiu Yun stretched out her hand and pulled the beautiful young woman into her embrace before grabbing the thing in front of her chest. The young woman looked quite surprised. She had never thought that Jiu Yun would treat her like this. However, in order to live, she actively cooperated with Jiu Yun, and her face was red as she panted. Seeing this scene, the two men could not help but react. They wanted to push the two women to the ground and have a good taste of these two beauties. Suddenly, the two men felt a trace of killing intent and felt quite shocked. They immediately wanted to run, but Jiu Yun waved her hand, and two silver-white beams of light pierced through their heads, causing blood to spurt out. Jiu Yun looked at the two men's bodies and coldly laughed. If the two men had been more well-behaved and not thought about other things, she might have let them off. However, they had thought about other things, and leaving them alive was a disaster. The beautiful young woman felt quite afraid. Now that the two of them had died in front of her, if she did not perform well, she would suffer the same fate. She did not dare to resist, as it would be too easy for Jiu Yun to kill them. With such terrifying power, how could she dare to resist? She did not know who Jiu Yun was, but she definitely could not offend him. She was in big trouble today. In Jiu Yun's embrace, the young woman blushed as she said coquettishly, "My lord, do you want it? I can serve you now." Jiu Yun could not help but lightly laugh. "I'm not interested in you. I just want to see if you have that charm, and see if my master will like you." The young woman felt quite shocked. Jiu Yun had such a terrifying identity, yet he called someone else master. That person was definitely even more terrifying than Jiu Yun. However, she did not need to worry about that. What she was most worried about was whether she had that charm. If she did not, she would most likely be killed by Jiu Yun. The young woman asked coquettishly, "My lord, do you think my master will like me?" Jiu Yun lightly laughed and said, "You're not bad. Your figure and looks are not bad. Later, I'll give you to my master as a gift. You have to perform well. My master is an existence that you can't touch." Hearing this, the young woman was quite surprised. Now, she did not have to be afraid at all, and there were great benefits. She did not know what kind of existence Jiu Yun's master was. Boom! A ray of light landed on the ground with a powerful aura, and a cloaked person and a peerlessly beautiful woman appeared. Chapter 2149. Jiu Yun felt quite surprised. She had never thought that just as she mentioned Zhao Fu would appear in front of her. Seeing Zhao Fu, the three sisters felt quite happy. They had been waiting here for a long time, and they hurriedly went up. The young woman understood that the young man in the cloak was Jiu Yun's master. Now, the few of them were hugging and kissing each other. The powerful Jiu Yun and the three goddesses with extraordinary temperaments were now bashful and moving in his arms. "Master, why are you back? We thought that you'd only come back after the competition," Jiu Yun said flirtatiously, her face slightly red. "Didn't you want to obtain all of the god's power? Did something happen?" Shirkuei also asked in confusion. Zhao Fu hugged the women and smiled as he said, there's been a change in plans. I was quite worried about you, so I came to take a look. Also, you'll follow me from now on. You'll receive points when you enter the legacy land, and your points will increase. You won't be forcefully teleported out of the secret realm, and I'll take you with me when we leave this place. Shirkuei gently asked, won't we cause trouble for you? Zhao Fu looked at her and smiled as he said, right now, you're the most important. This bit of trouble is nothing. A happy smile appeared on the faces of all the women. Jiu Yun suddenly thought of something and turned to look at the beautiful young woman. The beautiful young woman understood and respectfully bowed as she said, greetings, sir. Zhao Fu felt quite confused. Jiu Yun happily smiled as she explained, just now, a group of people came to cause trouble. I dealt with them. I saw that she was quite pretty, and most importantly, she was your type, so I left her to serve you. Zhao Fu sized up the young woman. The young woman started to feel nervous and expectant. She understood that Zhao Fu's identity and power were incredibly terrifying, and if she could serve Zhao Fu, it would be incredibly beneficial to her. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and pulled the young woman into his embrace. Sensing Zhao Fu's aura, the young woman's body softened into Zhao Fu's embrace, and Zhao Fu kissed her lips, sending 6 desires demonic qi into her body. The young woman was also instantly lost in it, as she fiercely responded to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu released the young woman and asked with a smile, what's your name? The young woman lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and panted with a red face. She felt quite shocked and felt as if she had been conquered by the man in front of her. She did not even think as she replied, Master, my name is Qing Lu. Zhao Fu said with a smile, and from now on, you'll stay by my side. Qing Lu understood that Zhao Fu had accepted her. She smiled happily and said, thank you, Master. I will definitely serve Master well in the future. Hualing glared at Zhao Fu and said, how can this fellow be so fickle? He can't reject any beautiful woman. Moreover, he's already a celestial beauty, yet he still wants other women. Zhao Fu looked at Hualing and brought her into his embrace. Hualing gave her a few good lessons, and Hualing panted against Zhao Fu, no longer as angry as before. Following this, Zhao Fu led the others to continue searching for the God Legacy Land. After finding out about Zhao Fu's true identity, Qing Lu looked at Zhao Fu in shock as massive waves crashed in her heart. She had never thought that the person in front of her would be the legendary King of Kings. She would never have dreamed of meeting such a person. Now, Qing Lu was so happy that she could die. This was the King of Kings, and she had become his female attendant without knowing anything. No wonder Jiu Yin had Emperor God power and had taken him as his master. So many women liked him, and now, putting everything aside, she could not help but feel admiration toward Zhao Fu. However, even if Zhao Fu did not have that identity, just the feeling from when Zhao Fu had kissed her was enough to make her submit. In the sky, Qing Lu found out that it was Zhao Fu who had been constantly obtaining sovereign's power. He was the person that everyone in the secret realm hated the most and wanted to teach a lesson to. Thinking to there, Qing Lu could not help but feel delighted. They did not know that this person was the second King of Kings, and if word of this got out, they would be scared to death. Jiu Yin stood beside her and smiled as he said, how is it? I didn't lie to you, right? My master is an existence that you can't touch. Qing Lu said gratefully, thank you, sir, for letting me serve master. Jiu Yin smiled as he said, it's good that you know. In the future, apart from listening to master, you also have to listen to me. Qing Lu understood that Jiu Yin wanted to add a helper, so she immediately agreed. After all, her beauty could not compare to Jiu Yun's, let alone Hualing, who was as beautiful as a celestial. She needed a helper to stay by Zhao Fu's side. At that moment, Zhao Fu sensed the location of another legacy land and led everyone over. They found a demonic energy ball on a mountain. The demonic energy ball was hundreds of meters wide and was formed from countless traces of jet-black demonic qi. It gave off a faint demonic light and a terrifying demonic might, and the surroundings were filled with an eerie aura. There were many people in the surroundings undergoing the trial at the entrance. As long as someone came close, demonic souls would flow out of the demonic energy ball and attack those who came close. There were many demonic souls, and they filled the sky, creating a terrifying scene. This was a demon god legacy land, so Zhao Fu naturally did not mind. His body gave off traces of demonic qi as he brought everyone and flew over. Suddenly, in that moment, the countless demonic souls that were attacking others all stopped and looked at Zhao Fu. They all knelt down as if they were worshiping their king. This caused everyone present to feel quite startled, and their gazes fell on Zhao Fu's body. It was the first time they had seen something like this. Just who was this person? Countless demonic souls had knelt before him. Zhao Fu also looked quite surprised, but he soon understood why. Firstly, Zhao Fu's divinity was of the demonic attribute, and secondly, Zhao Fu had the demon race's supreme emperor star and the demon race's supreme constitution. When these demonic souls saw him, they instinctively knelt, as Zhao Fu was the sovereign of the demon race. Zhao Fu and the others flew towards the demonic energy ball, and the demonic souls automatically made way for them. Everyone watched in shock as Zhao Fu and the others flew into the demonic energy ball and disappeared. The scene was incredibly silent, and no one made a sound. After a while, the devil soul returned to its original state and roared, becoming even more excited than before. It started to attack, making it difficult for the group, and they could only defend with great difficulty. At the same time, everyone wondered who that cloaked figure was. Seeing all of the demonic souls kneeling before him was quite shocking. The people in the secret realm felt quite surprised. It was the first time they had seen Zhao Fu unleash such an ability, and they felt that Zhao Fu was becoming more and more suspicious. There were simply too many things that he was hiding, and they could not see through him. Chapter 2150. Within the Demon Master God's legacy space, the sky was blood red and the ground was black. There were weeds everywhere, and rocks looked quite strange. Some looked like animals, while others looked like other things. There was a stage in front of Zhao Fu, and there was a statue. This statue was 1,000 meters tall, and it was a ferocious-looking man with demon horns on his head. He wore battle armor and held a spear, and he gave off a massive wave of demonic qi, making people feel quite afraid. Zhao Fu had Hualing wait here as he gave off a powerful aura and flew towards the statue. However, what surprised Zhao Fu was that the statue did not give off any terrifying attacks. The people who had been undergoing the trial felt quite startled. They were currently being attacked by so much demonic qi and were in danger. So why was that person not attacked? Following this, Zhao Fu came before the statue, but the statue still did not give off any terrifying power and attacked Zhao Fu. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the statue gave off a terrifying demonic might, and its forehead started to shine with demonic light as a powerful wave of demonic power spread out. Zhao Fu could not help but smile. This was the easiest time to obtain core God's power. There were no trials at all, and he could directly obtain the core God's legacy power. The Demon Master's constitution was quite good. The people who had been undergoing the trial all looked incredibly envious, wondering who that person was. Why was it no trial at all? Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as a black ray of light shot out from the statue's forehead, bringing with it massive amounts of demonic qi as it shot towards Zhao Fu's body. A massive wave of ancient Demon Master God's legacy power entered Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu closed his eyes to absorb this power. Boom! 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 Explosions continuously sounded out as black rays of light continuously shot out from the statue's forehead, and legacy power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu continued to absorb this wave of ancient Demon Master God's legacy power. Everyone stood there and watched in shock as Zhao Fu continuously absorbed the ancient demon lord's godly power. In the end, he absorbed all of it, and the stone statue gradually disappeared. Boom! The magic ball gave off a massive amount of magic power and intense magic light, and it turned into a ray of magic light that shot into the sky before exploding. A wave of magic power spread out, causing everyone to feel a dark and evil aura. There were 24 magic circles in the sky, and one of them emitted a black light. It was as if the circle was filled with black light. Now that the fourth main god had given him all the legacies, there were still 2 more before the third stage of the competition would begin. Zhao Fu had a trace of a smile on his face. Now that he had absorbed the Demon Master God's power, Zhao Fu felt that the 10,000 gods' power had become much stronger. Because he had the Demon Master's constitution, Zhao Fu could easily refine this power. Following this, Zhao Fu smiled and left with the others, continuing to search for the chief god's legacy grounds. The few people who were originally taking the test were dumbfounded as they watched the crowd leave. They simply could not figure out who Zhao Fu was. He did not have to go through any tests and had directly obtained the recognition of the main god statue. Moreover, he had given him all of the legacy power, and he had refined the terrifying chief god's power in just a few moments. Zhao Fu and the others flew in the sky and sensed a terrifying ripple in the mountains, so they flew over. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a 10,000-meter tall stone giant was slashed by a terrifying platinum-colored saber light. Its entire body collapsed, turning into countless rocks that fell to the ground. Countless clouds of dust spread out. Hao Dao gave a trace of a smile as he put away his saber. Lan Lu smiled as she went up and said, "Master, you're so powerful. Such a powerful rock giant was killed by you with a single strike. I'll help you collect the useful materials." Hao Dao lightly laughed and nodded. Lan Lu went up and started to collect the materials. Such a massive rock giant had 3 very precious treasures: the rock giant's heart, the rock giant's soul, and the rock giant's eye. At this moment, Zhao Fu flew over with many women. Zhao Fu immediately noticed Hao Dao on the ground. He had never thought that he would meet such a terrifying person. Hao Dao was somewhat surprised. In his heart, the pressure that Zhao Fu gave him was very great, and he was a very difficult opponent to deal with. He had wanted to have a big battle with Zhao Fu later on, but he had never thought that he would meet him here. However, Hao Dao's gaze fell on Hualing, and he looked somewhat surprised. It seemed that he understood Hualing's identity. Hualing frowned and said to Zhao Fu, "You have to be careful of this person. He's very terrifying, and I'm not his match." Zhao Fu had long since known that Hao Dao was very terrifying, and he did not need Hualing to tell him. Hao Dao revealed a trace of a smile. "What a coincidence. We meet again. Your luck with women is quite good, and you have so many beautiful women accompanying you. It makes one feel somewhat envious." The corners of Zhao Fu's mouth rose as he said with a trace of a smile, "With your identity, you don't need to be envious of me. What can I not have?" Hao Dao lightly smiled and said, "You praise me too much. I can't get a flower on the level of the flower ancestor. In the immortal world, the heavenly opening 8 great flowers are also very rare items. The Heavenly Emperor Awakening Flower, formed from the fusion of the heavenly opening 8 great flowers, has not appeared in the immortal world for many years." Immortal world, Heavenly Emperor Awakening Flower? Zhao Fu was somewhat shocked. Hao Dao actually talked about the immortal world, and from the looks of it, he seemed to have some understanding of it. Could it be that he was someone from the immortal world? The immortal world was the place where immortals resided, and immortals were the ultimate existences of the ordinary world. They were used to destroy the heavens and exterminate the earth, and distort the power of yin and yang. If Hao Dao was someone from the immortal world, this would scare people, and even almighty beings would not be an exception. This was because they were on 2 completely different levels. Moreover, he said that the fusion of the heavenly opening 8 great flowers would form the Heavenly Emperor Awakening Flower. This was something that even Zhao Fu did not know about, and he had never heard of it before. The Flower Fairy had not told Zhao Fu about it, nor had the Golden Flower Ancestor or Hualing. However, Hao Dao now knew that the heavenly opening 8 great flowers were not from the heaven-awakened world, but from the immortal world. Finally, if Hao Dao was someone from the immortal world, why would he appear in the heaven-awakened world? And what was his purpose? Moreover, why would he participate in the god competition? Now that he knew his identity, Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. With him present, even someone with an emperor star would find it incredibly difficult to obtain the master of the gods. Zhao Fu's expression became serious as he asked, "Are you someone from the immortal world?" Hao Dao smiled as he said, "I said before that I wouldn't tell you my identity, or else there would be a great disaster. You're the most special person I've seen in the heaven-awakened world. What is your identity?" Zhao Fu did not know what sort of existence Hao Dao was, so he naturally would not reveal his identity. He lightly laughed as he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not interested." He lightly smiled as he said, "Apologies, I can't tell you." Chapter 2151. Hao Dao laughed and said, "All right then. However, even if you don't tell me, I'll find out your identity sooner or later." Zhao Fu understood that if he fought with Hao Dao, his identity would be revealed. After all, facing someone as powerful as Hao Dao, Zhao Fu had to use his full strength, or else he would definitely lose to Hao Dao. However, if he used his full strength and used all sorts of methods, his identity would definitely be revealed. Zhao Fu did not continue this topic and looked at Hao Dao as he asked, "Then, what's your purpose in coming to the heaven-awakened world? Is it to obtain the ruler of the gods?" Hao Dao smiled as he said, "This might reveal my identity, so I won't tell you." Zhao Fu felt quite helpless. There was nothing to say here, and there would not be any battles. So he said, "I'll be going then. See you later." Hao Dao smiled and nodded as he said, "I'll remind you out of goodwill that the heaven-awakened world is not simple at all. Remember this. If anything happens in the future, don't blame me for not warning you." Zhao Fu frowned. He had heard someone say that the heaven-awakened world was not simple, and now that he heard Hao Dao say this, Zhao Fu definitely took it to heart. However, even if Zhao Fu took it to heart, there was nothing he could do. After all, only the origin race knew about the secrets of creation. Zhao Fu had met 2 origin race members. One was Tuoba Qing, and he did not know where she was, while the other was the King of Kings, Sword Spirit. Now that he asked Hao Dao, he most likely would not tell him. However, Zhao Fu still felt quite grateful to Hao Dao and said, "Thank you." Following this, Zhao Fu and his group flew away. Lan Lu put away all of the materials and went up. Seeing Zhao Fu and his group disappear, she asked curiously, "Master, who was that cloaked person? You seem to value that person quite a bit." Hao Dao smiled as he replied, He's very special and terrifying, and his strength is not inferior to mine. I'm quite surprised that there's such a person in the heaven-awakened world. Moreover, he'll definitely become a supreme expert in the world in the future and is worthy of my attention. After leaving the secret realm, we'll meet somewhere else." Lan Lu was a little shocked. She now understood how frightening Hao Dao's identity was. Even a typical son of Saint would have to lower his proud head in front of him. But now, he was paying so much attention to that cloaked man. Who was that cloaked man? It must be very scary. Otherwise, Hao Dao wouldn't have paid so much attention to it. But no matter what, Lan Lu was very happy to be able to follow by the side of such a noble and powerful person. Lan Lu took out 3 items and handed them to Hao Dao. "Master, these are the materials I've collected. They're for you." Hao Dao said indifferently, "These are useless to me. Take them. Let's get out of here." The Stone Man's heart, Stone Man's soul, and Stone Man's eye were all precious items, yet Hao Dao said they were useless to him. From this, it could be seen how terrifying Hao Dao's identity was. Lan Lu didn't say anything else. She accepted it with a smile and left with Hao Dao. On the other side, Zhao Fu and the others were flying in the sky. Shi Wu asked Zhao Fu seriously, "Is that person really someone from the immortal world? He feels so powerful. It's like he's facing a majestic mountain." Hua Ling said, "I'm not sure if he's someone from the immortal world, but his body isn't emitting spirit qi. It's emitting wisps of immortal qi. Zhao Fu replied seriously, I can't determine his identity right now, but he should be the strongest competitor in this competition. Jiu Yun smiled and said, I believe that master can definitely defeat him. Zhao Fu chuckled and didn't say anything. He led the others and flew forward. Not long later, Zhao Fu, who was flying in the sky, discovered another familiar person who was fighting with more than 10 people. That person was stronger and easily defeated those people. Now, he was kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he descended. Sir, please let us off this time. We won't dare to do it again. As long as you don't kill us, we'll hand over all of our points, a group of people kneeling on the ground said fearfully. Lu Li, who was standing in front of them, ignored them. She sensed a massive aura and looked up. Seeing this person, she couldn't help but smile. Lu Li looked down at the 10 or so people in front of her and said, You can go. I don't need your points. Hearing this, everyone hurriedly ran back in surprise. Zhao Fu and the others landed on the ground. Lu Li stepped forward with a smile and said, We meet again. Zhao Fu was quite happy and smiled as he replied, I'm quite surprised to meet you here. Have you not returned to your mistress's side yet? Lu Li looked at the women around Zhao Fu and could tell from their expressions that they were Zhao Fu's women. Lu Li couldn't help but feel a bit envious. Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Lu Li replied, I'm waiting for my mistress here. Jillian looked at Lu Li and smiled coquettishly as she said, Master, you're quite charming. Your charm is still too great. I don't know when someone will fall in love with you again. Lu Li's face blushed, and just as she was about to explain, she saw Zhao Fu looking at her with a teasing smile on his face. Lu Li was unable to speak, and her heart raced as her face turned red. Zhao Fu smiled as he pulled her into his embrace and said, Leave with me, and I'll treat you well. Lu Li looked up with a blushing face and a happy smile on her face. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would accept her so easily. However, when she thought of Miao Lu, her face became dim and she said apologetically, I'm sorry. I want to stay with my mistress. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and asked, Why? You should know that my identity isn't simple. It's better for you to stay by my side as someone's maidservant. Lu Li smiled as she said, Mistress is very good to me, and we've been together since we were young. We made a promise that we would always be together, so I can't betray mistress. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and let go of Lu Li as he smiled and said, All right, I won't make things difficult for you. Then I won't make things difficult for you. I'm leaving first. See you in the future. Lu Li looked quite apologetic and felt quite uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. He didn't care too much about this matter and replied, It's fine. You don't have to feel sorry for me. Lu Li smiled and felt less uncomfortable. She hugged Zhao Fu and blushed as she said, I'll give my body to you here. Zhao Fu bitterly smiled. Right now, Zhao Fu couldn't do it with women at all, and it would be a long time before he made a breakthrough in the 6 Desire Celestial Art. He didn't know if it was because he had committed too many sins and was suffering retribution. Now, he could only watch and couldn't do anything else, which made him feel quite uncomfortable. What's more, the women in front of him were all so beautiful. Chapter 2152. Hearing Lu Li's words, the other women looked at Zhao Fu expectantly, including Hualing. Even though she did not want to admit it, she wanted Zhao Fu to dote on her. Seeing Zhao Fu's expression, Lu Li looked quite confused. Zhao Fu had said that he wanted her to be his woman, so he should have feelings for her. Why did he look like that? She thought of something and asked in a small voice, Husband, are you not good in that area? All of the women present were given a big fright and looked at Zhao Fu. They all took the initiative and were incredibly beautiful, but Zhao Fu did not dote on them. Could it be that he really was not good in that area? Even though Zhao Fu had explained to Jiu Yun that there was a problem with his cultivation technique, Jiu Yun started to doubt whether this was true or not. She did not understand such things. Moreover, Zhao Fu's cultivation technique was incredibly terrifying and could restrain women. Almost no woman could resist it, and they would all fall into desire. Logically speaking, cultivating such a cultivation technique was a cultivation technique that harmed women. However, after following Zhao Fu for so long, no matter how much she took the initiative, Zhao Fu did not dote on her. He cultivated such a lewd cultivation technique, but he did not touch women. This did not make sense, and it was possible that what Lu Li said was true. Zhao Fu was not good in that area, which was why he did not touch them. Perhaps it was also an excuse that he had encountered a problem with his cultivation technique. Now, they were in a miserable state. They wanted to do it with Zhao Fu every day, but they could only think about not being able to receive his favor. This was incredibly unbearable and would drive them crazy. Zhao Fu rolled his eyes at the women and said, "Do you think that's possible?" Jiu Yun went up and hugged Zhao Fu's arm as she asked in confusion, "Then why haven't you doted on us for so long, master? If you can, prove it to us that we all want it." Zhao Fu did not have much to say and explained to them. "Didn't I say before that it's a problem with my cultivation technique? It's a problem with my cultivation technique, not with me. Think about it. I have a saint bloodline, and my harem is filled with beauties. I dote on countless women every day. So how could there be a problem?" Hearing Zhao Fu's explanation, everyone was skeptical, but they felt that it was true. Shirya looked at Zhao Fu and suddenly thought of something. "Husband, is it because you've done it too many times in the past that you can't do it now? I heard that all men are like this." When everyone heard this, they immediately became suspicious of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu couldn't say anything, nor could he explain himself. Facing the gazes of all the women, he felt a headache coming on. Boom! A black ray of light landed here, and an aura of destruction spread out as a beautiful and powerful woman appeared. She was Mielu. When Mielu saw Lu Li hugging a man, he frowned and asked, "Who is Lu Li?" Lu Li came back to her senses and let go of Zhao Fu. Her face was slightly red as she explained, "He's someone I met before, and he saved my life." Mielu continued to ask, "Then why are you hugging him? And why is your face so red? Have you fallen for him?" Lu Li looked at Zhao Fu and nodded seriously before looking at Mielu and giving a trace of a sincere smile. "Young miss, you're quite good. Miss, I do like him, but I've decided to stay by your side and accompany you." Mielu looked at Lu Li, and as their gazes met, the anger in Mielu's heart dissipated. Zhao Fu looked at Mielu and started to size her up. As someone with an emperor's star, Mielu's body gave off an innate god lord's might, which greatly countered ordinary godly spirits. She also had great destructive power. Mielu looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he replied, "I won't tell you." Mielu coldly harumphed as she said, "I can tell that you're not a good person. You have so many women by your side, but you still came to provoke Lu Li. I don't know what method you used to make Lu Li fall for you, but I advise you to stay away from her, or else I won't be polite to you." Zhao Fu did not care about Mielu's threat and gave a teasing smile as he said, "What if I don't agree? Why aren't you angry at me? I'll tell you that you'll become my woman." Mielu acted as if she had heard something extremely funny as she said, "This is the first time I've heard someone say such a thing in front of me. Do you know who I am?" Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "I do. You're Mielu, the most powerful expert in the divine domain and the possessor of an emperor's star." Mielu had thought that Zhao Fu did not know who she was, which was why he dared to say such a thing. After all, not everyone knew who she was. However, this person clearly knew who she was and yet still dared to act so arrogantly. He was simply too daring. "Who gave you the courage? You dare to speak like this in front of me? Don't think that I won't kill you just because you're someone Lu Li likes." Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and smiled as he replied, "Who gave you the confidence? Do you really think that you can kill me?" Boom! Hearing this, Mielu felt a wave of anger within her and could not endure this person in front of her. This person was simply too arrogant, and he directly exploded out with a destructive aura that blasted out like a gale. "Who gave me the confidence? I can kill you right now. If you have the ability, you can defeat me, and I'll be willing to be your woman. If you don't, I'll die here." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. It was worth it to exchange a battle for an emperor's star. However, he would suffer great injuries after the battle, and he needed to recover as soon as possible or else his battle strength would greatly decrease. Luli looked quite troubled, and she stood up and pleaded, "Miss, please don't be like this. Can I apologize to you?" Seeing how uncomfortable Luli looked, Mialu could not bear to see her like this. She immediately dispersed her power and coldly harumphed, "All right then, come and leave with me. In the future, don't have any contact with this kind of man. He doesn't look like a good man and only knows how to harm women. I don't understand why you like him." Zhao Fu felt quite displeased. What did she mean by only knew how to harm women? He was a gentleman now and did not remember what had happened in the past. Luli looked apologetically at Zhao Fu and said softly, "Husband, we'll meet again in the future. You know who Miss is, so you can go there to find me in the future." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. He had wanted to fight with Mia Lu in advance, but it seemed that this would not be possible. Mia Lu was quite angry as she said, "Luli, how can you call someone like him husband?" Seeing Zhao Fu nod, Luli happily smiled and ran over to Mia Lu and pulled on Mia Lu's arm as she said, "Miss, let's go." Following this, Luli and Mia Lu left this place together. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Let's leave together and continue to search for the core god's legacy land." Jiao Yun hugged Zhao Fu's arm and asked worriedly, "Master, are you really unable to do it? You still haven't answered us." Zhao Fu glared at her and said, "That's impossible." Chapter 2153. Seeing this, Jiao Yun did not dare to ask anymore. She smiled and hugged Zhao Fu as she said, "Master, don't worry. I will also brew wine that strengthens that area. It will definitely be able to cure you, and when the time comes, you can do whatever you want to us." Zhao Fu did not have anything else to say. He felt that he had been wronged and continued to search for the chief god's legacy. Boom! A loud explosion sounded out, and a few people with powerful auras landed beside a lake. The people who came were Shun Qianhua and a few maids beside her. Beside the lake stood Yu Chan, who was as beautiful as a fairy. Shun Qianhua gave a domineering smile as she said, "The god stage is about to start the third stage. I think it's time for us to have a match." Yu Chan coldly nodded. Shun Qianhua laughed as she said, "What if I win? You mine?" Yu Chan looked at Shun Qianhua and asked, "What if I win?" Shun Qianhua laughed loudly as she said, "Then how about I be yours? I'm the goddess of the goddess palace, and the goddess palace is stronger than the 9 moon gods. You won't be at a disadvantage, and instead, you'll benefit greatly." Yu Chan rolled her eyes at Shun Qianhua. "I'm not interested in you, but if I win, you have to promise me 3 things. Moreover, no matter who you lose to, you have to marry that person. If you don't agree, this bet will be canceled." Yu Chan did not have full confidence in facing Shun Qianhua, but she also wanted to see Shun Qianhua's power, so she wanted to fight with her. However, if she lost, she would have to become Shun Qianhua's woman. This was something she could not accept, as she did not like women. Even though the person she liked had not appeared yet, he was definitely a peerless hero. If Shun Qianhua was defeated by someone else, she would have to marry someone else. If she did not want to, then the bet would be canceled. With Shun Qianhua's domineering personality, it was impossible for her to marry someone else. In the end, she would not suffer any losses, and she would also let Shun Qianhua experience the feeling of marrying whoever she lost to. Shun Qianhua's beautiful eyes stared at Yu Chan, understanding Yu Chan's intentions. However, Shun Qianhua lightly laughed. "I won't agree." This was because Shun Qianhua knew that there were too many strong warriors in the competition of the gods, and there were many people who were even more terrifying than her. There was a high chance that she would be defeated by someone else, and she would definitely not marry someone else, so that there was no need for this bet to continue. Yu Chan replied with a cold expression, "I don't agree either." Boom! A massive aura exploded out from Shun Qianhua's body, and his body gave off a golden light as he said domineeringly, "Right now, I don't care if you agree or not. If you have the power, come and resist me." Boom! Yu Chan's body gave off a massive aura and silver-white light as she coldly replied, "Let's see if you have the power to make me submit." The two massive auras clashed together, resulting in an even more berserk gale that blew out in all directions. Countless trees started to sway, and some gravel was also blown away, causing the atmosphere to become quite dangerous. Clang! Shen Qianhua took out a large golden sword and gave off a shocking power as he rushed towards Yuchan. He was incredibly fast and arrived in front of Yuchan in an instant. He swung the large sword in his hand and slashed towards Yuchan. Yuchan's expression was cold as she stretched out a hand and grabbed at the air, causing a silver sword to appear in her hand. She sent a wave of power into the sword, causing it to give off a silver-white sword light. Clang! Yuchan swung the sword in her hand and vigorously blocked. The two swords clashed, causing sparks to fly everywhere and a shockwave to ripple out. Shen Qianhua gave a domineering smile as he put away the large sword in his hand and slashed towards Yuchan with shocking power. Yuchan once again used her sword to block. Shen Qianhua continuously swung the large golden sword in his hand, continuously slashing towards Yuchan with golden sword light. His attacks were incredibly ferocious and gave off shocking sounds. This sort of attack suited Shen Qianhua's personality. Facing Shen Qianhua's attacks, Yuchan could only continuously block with her sword as she retreated. Boom! Shen Qianhua suddenly sent a powerful wave of power into the large sword, causing it to give off an intense golden sword light. He vigorously swung out, and a terrifying sword energy slashed out. Bang! Even though Yuchan used her sword to block the attack, her body was still sent flying 10 or so meters back, and she stood on the surface of the lake. Shen Qianhua dragged his large sword and gave a domineering smile as he quickly rushed towards Yuchan. Yuchan's expression was cold as she raised the sword in her hand, and a wave of power flowed into it. The sword gave off a gentle sword light, and ripples appeared in the surrounding space. 1 meter-long silver fish appeared around Yuchan and swam in the air like real fish. A state of moon spread out from her. Yuchan's eyes widened. Boom! Yuchan swung the sword in her hand, and the silver fish around her swam towards Shen Qianhua. The massive lunar concept also flowed towards Shen Qianhua, bringing with it a terrifying power that seemed unstoppable. Bang! 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 The silver fish quickly swam in front of Shen Qianhua. Shen Qianhua continuously swung the large sword in his hand, slashing apart the countless silver fish, causing them to turn into motes of silver light and disappear. Boom! A massive wave of moon concept surged up, and Shen Qianhua sent a shocking wave of power into the large sword in his hand. The large sword gave off an intense golden sword light, and he vigorously slashed out, causing a terrifying sword light to slash forwards. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out, and a powerful shockwave rippled out. The surface of the lake trembled, and countless droplets of water shot out. Shen Qianhua was also sent flying by this attack, and a trace of blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Shen Qianhua was not angry and instead smiled as he said, Yuchan, I haven't seen you in a while, and you've become much stronger. Yuchan did not reply to Shen Qianhua's words and coldly swung the sword in her hand, sending out a silver-white crescent towards Shen Qianhua. Shen Qianhua did not care and swung the large sword in his hand, easily destroying the incoming silver-white crescent. Following this, he raised the large sword in his hand and sent powerful power into it, causing it to give off a brilliant golden sword light and a shocking sword energy. Boom! Shen Qianhua vigorously slashed out, and a massive golden sword light containing terrifying power slashed out. It brought with it a terrifying sword wind, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the lake. Yuchan's body gave off a gentle silver light, and a lunar concept spread out. Yuchan's body seemed to fuse with her surroundings, and she stood there without any intention of dodging. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the golden sword light slammed into the surface of the lake, splitting it in half. The water in the two halves flew high into the air before falling to the sides, forming powerful waves and causing countless droplets of water to fall down like rain. Yu Chan's body disappeared like an illusion, and her aura could not be sensed at all. It was as if she had truly disappeared, and the atmosphere became quite strange. Chapter 2154. Clang. A sword hum suddenly sounded out as Yu Chan appeared behind Shen Qianhua with her sword. Her sword brought with it a silver ray of light as it stabbed towards Shen Qianhua. Shen Qianhua dodged to the side, dodging the attack. Yu Chan's body instantly flew forwards, the sword in her hand giving off a silver-white sword light. It gave off a powerful aura and was extremely fast, leaving a mark on the surface of the lake. Shen Qianhua gripped his large sword with one hand and vigorously swung it, causing a golden sword light to slash out with great power. Yu Chan's body was slashed apart by the sword and disappeared like an illusion. However, in the next moment, she appeared next to Shen Qianhua and slashed towards him. Shen Qianhua turned and used his sword to blocking the attack as he looked at Yu Chan. Yu Chan had used one of the moon god's most powerful techniques, Moon's reflection, which could cause one's body to instantly become illusory. Boom! A massive aura exploded out as Shen Qianhua's body gave off an intense light. He gripped his sword and pushed out, sending Yu Chan flying. Waves of terrifying power continuously flowed out from Shen Qianhua's body, forming shockwaves that rippled out in all directions. Shen Qianhua's body gave off a blinding golden light. Boom! A formless golden wave of light spread out with unstoppable force, instantly covering everything and not causing any damage. A domain's power spread out, controlling the surrounding 10 kilometers. Yu Chan's expression slightly changed because she was currently within Shen Qianhua's domain. Moon's reflection's effects were greatly weakened, and Shen Qianhua could easily determine where she would appear. Shen Qianhua gave a domineering smile. Now, this move of yours is useless against me. How are you going to block me now? Boom! Shen Qianhua gave off a powerful aura as he rushed toward Yu Chan. He quickly ran on the surface of the water, causing ripples to spread out. He was incredibly fast, arriving in front of Yu Chan and slashing toward her. Yu Chan also gave off a shocking power, which she sent into the sword in her hand. She vigorously slashed out, sending out a sharp sword light. Clang! The two swords clashed together, resulting in a massive sword hum. A powerful sword wind spread out, ferociously blowing in all directions. Bang! Shen Qianhua forcefully waved his hand, sending Yu Chan flying. However, Yu Chan flew back more than 10 meters, but was not injured. Shen Qianhua continued to rush forward. Yu Chan did not move at all and let go of the sword. The sword was controlled by a formless energy and floated in front of Yu Chan. Yu Chan stretched out a hand, and countless traces of power flowed out and entered the sword. The sword gave off boundless silver-white light, and an extremely terrifying sword energy spread out, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Boom! Yu Chan stretched out her hand and vigorously pushed out. The sword gave off terrifying power as it turned into a silver-white ray of light and shot forwards with unstoppable force. Shen Qianhua, who was rushing over, injected an astonishing amount of power into it. The large sword also released countless sword chi, and each strand contained an extremely powerful force that could split mountains and shatter the earth. The moment the sword light shot over, Shen Qianhua forcefully swung the sword in his hand, bringing with it a massive sword light that seemed to be able to split space apart. Bang! The two powers collided, creating a massive explosion. A powerful shock wave instantly spread out, causing the surface of the lake to tremble and countless splashes of water. The sword that was emitting a silver-white light was sent flying by Shen Qianhua, but Yu Chan's body suddenly appeared in front of her. Her palm struck Shen Qianhua's abdomen, causing her body to be sent flying. Yu Chan stretched out her hand and grabbed, causing the flying sword to turn into a ray of light and instantly return her hand. Yu Chan held a sword in her hand and rushed towards Shen Qianhua. Her speed was also very fast. She rushed in front of Shun Qianhua and forcefully slashed out with her sword, bringing out a powerful silver-white sword light. Boom! A golden imprint appeared on Shun Qianhua's forehead. This imprint looked like a twisted female character, and an incomparably large amount of energy immediately spread out, forming an enormous pressure that pressed down on the surroundings. Bang! Shun Qianhua forcefully swung out, bringing out a large amount of golden sword light that sent Yu Chan flying. Yu Chan flew back more than 100 meters, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Shun Qianhua looked at Yu Chan with her beautiful eyes and laughed loudly. Yu Chan, your strength has increased by a lot, but you are still unable to defeat me. Yu Chan coldly laughed. Is that so? Yu Chan stabbed her sword into the water, and a silver-white crescent appeared on her forehead. A powerful wave of Moon God's power exploded out from her body, forming a strong wind that blew out. Yu Chan raised a hand, and a formless energy spread out, causing the weather to change. Winds and clouds swirled, and countless traces of heaven and earth power quickly gathered, forming an exquisite silver-white mirror that was hundreds of meters wide and gave off a massive might. Boom! 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 The mirror that was hundreds of meters wide gave off a massive wave of power. Rays of silver-white light brought with them a terrifying force as they shot towards Shun Qianhua. There were so many of them that they seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. Shun Qianhua's expression was somewhat serious as she stood in place without moving. She stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of golden energy flowed out, forming a hexagonal shield of light. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as the white beams of light smashed into the shield of light. Waves of astonishing power spread out, and some of the white beams of light landed on the surface of the lake, piercing through it. However, Shun Qianhua was still able to block the countless beams of light, and he was not injured at all. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the silver-white mirror shot out a gigantic white beam of light, shooting straight towards Shun Qianhua. It was incredibly ferocious, as if it could destroy everything. Bang! Just as Shun Qianhua reacted, a massive wave of energy poured into the hexagonal shield of light, causing it to emit an intense golden light. The gigantic silver beam of light collided with it, causing a loud sound to ring out as the shield of light shattered, and Shun Qianhua's body was instantly sent flying. Shun Qianhua's body flew back more than 100 meters before stopping. He looked to be in a sorry state, and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Yu Chan said with a cold smile, "Do you still think you can defeat me?" Shun Qianhua wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a light smile, "That's for sure. The stronger you are, the more accomplished I will feel when I subdue you. Now, let me see your strength." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the mark on Shun Qianhua's forehead gave off an intense light. A massive wave of energy exploded out from his body as strands of golden qi emerged from Shun Qianhua's body. Each strand of qi contained immense power. The terrifying pressure enveloped the surroundings, and the air seemed to solidify, causing people to feel fear. Loading the next chapter. Chapter 2155. Shun Qianhua raised a large sword in his hand, and a golden sword light shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power madly gathered and flowed into the large golden sword, causing it to give off an intense golden sword light. It formed a 1,000-meter long golden sword of light that stood between the heavens and the earth and gave off a massive power. Seeing this, Yu Chan's expression became serious. A massive wave of moon god power flowed out from her hand and entered the mirror, causing it to continuously grow until it was 1,000 meters wide. It continuously absorbed heaven and earth power and gave off a silver-white light. It gave off a terrifying power. Boom! Shun Qianhua vigorously slashed out, and the golden sword of light gave off a power that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth as it slashed forwards. The power was incredibly terrifying, and even the space around it started to crack. Boom! The 1,000-meter wide silver-white mirror shot out an enormous ray of light that gave off destructive power as it shot forwards. It seemed to be able to destroy everything and was unstoppable. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as a massive explosion blasted out. The surface of the lake, the rocks, and the trees were all turned into nothingness in that instant, and they continuously spread out incredibly quickly. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. A shock wave spread out, forming a massive gale that blew out in all directions. Countless trees were uprooted and rocks were blown into the sky. The massive explosion could be heard from far away. The heavens and earth seemed to change as the sun and moon lost their light and clouds swirled. Countless people stared at the horizon in shock and sensed the massive auras. They understood that there were definitely peerless geniuses fighting, and countless people excitedly flew over. This was another battle between peerless geniuses, and they did not want to miss it. At the end of the battlefield, there was a 10,000-meter wide crater in the ground. The lake had completely disappeared, and the sky was covered by dark clouds. Countless droplets of water fell, making it seem as if it was raining. However, this was not real rain, but lake water. Yu Chan and Shun Qianhua both had blood at the corners of their mouths as they stood up from the ground and looked at each other. Shun Qianhua loudly laughed as he said, "Yu Chan, you didn't disappoint me, but you still haven't defeated me." Yu Chan's expression was cold as her body gave off a faint silver light. Her body automatically floated into the air and a massive moon intent spread out. Boom! A massive power tore apart the dark clouds that covered the sky. The dark clouds quickly dissipated and countless rays of silver-white light shot out. 9 massive silver-white moons appeared in the sky, giving off boundless moonlight that illuminated the land. An incomparably powerful might enveloped the heavens and earth, causing the heavens and earth to turn cold. It was filled with the eerie coldness of the moon's power. 9 moons floated in the sky, and endless moon energy flowed into Yu Chan's body. The moon mark on her forehead shone, and her body was covered in a layer of moonlight. She looked incredibly holy and inviolable. At the same time, her strength was raised to the extreme, causing the void to distort. Right now, Yu Chan was going all out. This was her true power, absolutely terrifying, as if she was a moon palace fairy. When Shun Qianhua saw this, there was no fear on his face. Instead, he was all smiles. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Shun Qianhua's body gave off countless rays of golden light, forming a golden beam of light that shot into the sky. It formed a massive golden pillar of light as countless heaven and earth power surged into Shun Qianhua's body. The golden mark on Shun Qianhua's forehead spread out, covering both sides of his face. His long hair turned golden, and a golden illusory battle armor appeared around him, covering his body. An extremely terrifying power spread out from Shun Qianhua's body, and her body gave off traces of golden aura. The golden aura was incredibly terrifying, and it was traces of golden celestial qi. Shun Qianhua looked like a female war celestial as waves of massive aura continuously spread out, forming wild gales. Yu Chan grabbed out with her hand, and a sword stabbed into the ground returned to her hand. She swung it forwards, and a silver-white sword light containing sharp power slashed out. Shun Qianhua had a trace of a smile on her face as she casually swung the sword in her hand, causing a massive golden sword light to slash out. Bang! The 2 sword lights brought with them immense power as they clashed together, resulting in a massive sound. Countless sword lights shot out in all directions. Shun Qianhua flew up from the ground, bringing with her massive golden power as she rushed towards Yu Chan. Yu Chan did not feel any fear as she held her sword and rushed towards Shun Qianhua. Bang! 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 The two of them continuously fought, causing massive explosions to sound out. Waves of terrifying aura continuously spread out, forming wild gales that caused the heavens and earth to dim and the clouds to change. Bang! Another massive sound rang out as the two of them were sent flying backwards. Shun Qianhua laughed as she said, "There's no need to waste your power like this. Unleash your most powerful attack to decide victory or defeat." Yuchan said coldly, "I have the same plan." Boom! Yuchan raised her hand, and the 9 massive moons in the sky gave off intense light. The light continuously condensed, forming 9 silver-white orbs that gave off terrifying power. The light continuously condensed, and the 9 silver-white orbs became larger and larger. The terrifying power they gave off became more and more powerful, forming a massive might. Boom! Shen Qianhua raised her sword with both hands and pointed it toward the sky. A massive wave of power flowed into the sword, causing it to give off a brilliant sword light that covered the surroundings. A golden image appeared in the air above the sword. This image was of a woman, and her body gave off terrifying power. The world seemed to be unable to withstand it and continuously twisted. Boom! 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 Yuchan's raised hand descended, and the 9 orbs gave off massive power as they shot forwards. They were incredibly fast and gave off an oppressive feeling, giving off a dangerous feeling that they could destroy the heavens and the earth. Boom! Shen Qianhua raised her sword with both hands and heavily slammed it down. The golden image brought with it countless immortals as it flew forwards, and the world seemed to be dyed gold. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out, sounding as if the heavens and earth were about to collapse. The two powers clashed together, and a massive shockwave blasted out, bringing with it a power that could sweep away everything. The ground, trees, rocks, grass, mountains, and valleys were all shattered in that instant. An incredibly massive shockwave blew away countless rocks and wood, giving off a deafening sound. The terrifying aura could be felt from far away, and countless people felt as if their bodies had fallen into an icy cavern. Their bodies could not help but tremble. An intense fear appeared in their hearts. Everyone outside the secret realm looked incredibly excited as they stared at this place, wanting to know just who had won this battle. Some supported Shun Qianhua, while others supported Yuchan. Chapter 2156. After everything calmed down, within a massive crater, Yuchan lay on the ground with blood flowing out of her body. Shun Qianhua stood there, her face pale and blood flowing out of her mouth. It was evident that Shun Qianhua had won. Not only could she still stand there, she still had some strength in her body, while Yuchan lay on the ground without a trace of strength in her body. Everyone smiled and excitedly shouted Shun Qianhua's name. This was the glory of being the victor. The surroundings were incredibly lively, and everyone was talking about Shun Qianhua. They talked about how powerful she had been and how intense the battle had been. Shun Qianhua's popularity reached its peak, and she was welcomed, loved, and respected by countless people. As for Yuchan, who had lost, not many people looked down on her because her power was also quite terrifying. It was impossible for them to have this kind of power, and Yuchan had only lost to Shun Qianhua by a bit. Shun Qianhua was currently quite weak, but defeating Yuchan made her feel quite happy. She lightly smiled and said to Yuchan, "You still lost to me. Can you still resist me now?" Yuchan's expression was quite unsightly. She tried her best to stand up, but she did not have a trace of strength. Shun Qianhua gave a trace of a smile as she walked towards Yuchan outside the secret realm. The people from the goddess palace all had smiles on their faces. They did not object to what Shun Qianhua had done. Their goddess palace hated men and preferred women. Moreover, they had developed a secret technique that allowed them to get pregnant without needing a man, and the child they gave birth to would definitely be a girl. As the 9 god moons' holy maiden, Yuchan's looks, potential, and strength were ranked in the top 3 in the god realm. They were naturally very satisfied with Yuchan becoming Shun Qianhua's woman. A beautiful woman with a noble aura and a peerlessly beautiful face wearing a purple robe said to the nine god moon's moon lord with a dignified smile, I approve of this marriage. I, Qianhua, am superior to Yuchan in all aspects, and I have personally defeated her. You won't object to this marriage, right? The nine god moon's moon lord was a beautiful woman with a graceful figure and wore a white dress. She had a perfect face and gave off a holy aura. She frowned and said, I won't make the decision. Yuchan can choose for herself. Although they were both women, the Moon Lord did not like the way the Goddess Palace did things. It was very domineering, barbaric, and cruel, especially to men. If there was a disagreement, they would cut off a man's private parts. Usually, if one offended the Goddess Palace, they would either die or end up like that. All the men in the God realm were afraid of the people from the Goddess Palace. However, the Goddess Palace became the most popular faction among women. However, the Nine Moon Goddesses faction was different. Even though they all looked cold and aloof, they did not reject men and were willing to interact with other people. Also, regardless of whether he liked a man or a woman, it was all up to him to choose and not to crazily advocate liking women. The palace lord of the Goddess Palace gave a confident smile. It's good that you don't object. I believe that Qianhua will be able to obtain Yuechan's heart and make Yuechan willingly be with her. The Moon Lord did not say anything. Her beautiful eyes looked at the scene in the mirror. Shen Qianhua came to Yuchan's side and stretched out her hand to help her up, smiling as she looked at Yuchan. Yuchan looked at Shen Qianhua coldly, looking a little repulsed. However, Shen Qianhua did not mind. With a trace of a smile on her face, she kissed Yuchan. This woman that she had yearned for even in her dreams was finally hers. Boom! Suddenly, an explosion sounded out as a powerful aura descended, causing Shen Qianhua's movements to pause. She frowned and looked in that direction. A man wearing a cloak and a few beautiful women appeared in front of him. The man gave off a very powerful aura, and it was not ordinary either. There was also a woman beside him. Not only was she extremely beautiful, her aura was also very powerful. Shen Qianhua did not know who this group of people were. Yuchan turned to look at the young man wearing a cloak, feeling extremely surprised. She remembered Zhao Fu and understood that Zhao Fu was the person who had obtained all of the moon god's legacies. Back then, she had gone back to look for him, but she could not find him. Shen Qianhua's 6 female attendants stood by the side. One of them was a mature and arrogant woman who immediately recognized Zhao Fu. She could not forget the humiliation that Zhao Fu had given her, and Zhao Fu was the first person to do such a thing. The mature woman immediately said, Miss, this is the person who snatched the pure body of flesh and humiliated you. Shen Qianhua's expression turned slightly cold when she heard this. She had been searching for the person who had stolen her things, and she had been thinking about how to torture and kill him. Now, that person had finally appeared before her. You're the person who stole my unconditional body. Shen Qianhua asked as she looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had only been attracted by the terrifying ripples. He never thought that he would meet Shen Qianhua and Yuchan. He also understood that the terrifying ripples just now were caused by the battle between Shen Qianhua and Yuchan, and from the looks of it, Shen Qianhua should have won. Hearing Shen Qianhua's words, Zhao Fu looked at the mature and arrogant woman and understood what was going on. He lightly laughed and said, I stole your pure body, so what can you do to me? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. As a man, he dared to speak like this in front of Shen Qianhua, and he was even more arrogant than her. Wasn't he courting death? Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Shen Qianhua's eyes were filled with killing intent as she stared at Zhao Fu. If you want to die, I'll grant your wish. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Shen Qianhua exploded out with a terrifying power and slowly placed Yuchan on the ground. She stood up from the ground and grabbed out with her hand, causing the large golden sword to fly into her hand. Shen Qianhua brought with her aura and quickly rushed in front of Zhao Fu. She vigorously slashed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had a trace of a smile on his face as a rainbow-colored rune circle appeared, forming a rainbow-colored barrier of light that covered Zhao Fu's body. Bang! The large sword slammed into the rainbow-colored rune barrier, resulting in a massive sound. A powerful sword wind blew out, but the defensive barrier blocked Shun Qianhua's attack and did not shatter. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "You've just experienced a great battle and only have a little bit of strength left in your body. Do you think that you can kill me with that little bit of strength?" Shun Qianhua's expression slightly changed. She had never thought that Zhao Fu's strength would be so terrifying. Bang! A rainbow-colored aura flame ignited around Zhao Fu's body, and a celestial-like aura spread out, sending Shun Qianhua flying backwards. Shun Qianhua flew back 10 or so meters, furiously staring at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was right. She did not have much strength left, and it would be very difficult for her to kill Zhao Fu. Chapter 21:57. However, with Shun Qianhua's personality, she definitely would not tolerate Zhao Fu. She would use all of her strength to kill Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Shun Qianhua's body ignited with a golden aura flame, giving off a massive amount of divine power. The ground continuously cracked, and with this power, Shun Qianhua continued to rush toward Zhao Fu. Shun Qianhua rushed in front of Zhao Fu and slashed out with an intense sword light, seeming to be able to slash apart a mountain. Zhao Fu dispelled the defensive barrier and grabbed out with his hand, taking out the Sin Dragon Sword. He sent a massive amount of power into it and vigorously slashed out, causing a black sword light to slash out with shocking power. Clang! The two swords clashed together, resulting in a massive sound of metal clashing. Countless sparks exploded as a sword wind blew out in all directions. Zhao Fu pushed out with his sword, sending Shun Qianhua flying. He then waved his sword again, slashing out a black sword light towards Shun Qianhua. Shun Qianhua hurriedly blocked with her sword, and a muffled sound rang out as the sword light slammed into her sword. Shun Qianhua's body was once again sent flying back 10 meters before stopping, a trace of blood leaking out of her mouth. Seeing this, everyone understood that with Shun Qianhua's current strength, she was not a match for Zhao Fu at all. After experiencing such a terrifying battle, how could she still have the strength to deal with Zhao Fu? However, Zhao Fu did not give off a good feeling, as he was taking advantage of others when they were down. If Shun Qianhua had not used up all of her strength, Zhao Fu definitely would not have it so easy, and he would not even dare to say such arrogant words. The palace lord of the goddess Palace frowned. She also hated men, and seeing how despicable he was, taking advantage of Shun Qianhua's lack of strength to bully her. If it wasn't for the fact that she could not enter the secret realm, she would have directly attacked and killed Zhao Fu. The Nine Moons goddesses looked quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would suddenly reveal this. She had paid attention to Zhao Fu and felt that he was quite mysterious. Moreover, he had obtained many divine legacies. Shun Qianhua also understood that she was not a match for Zhao Fu right now, but the anger in her heart made her not want to give up just like that. She used all of her strength, not leaving a single bit behind. Boom! A massive rumble rang out, and Shun Qianhua's body shone with an intense golden light. Rings of light appeared behind her, and an immense divine power surged out endlessly. The great sword in her hand was controlled by an invisible force. It flew into the air, and a powerful divine power poured into it. Clang, clang, clang. Sword hums sounded out as the golden sword gave off sword hums. It became 10 or so meters bigger, and rays of golden light shot out, turning into golden swords. There were 36 golden swords in total. Each sword gave off shocking power, and a massive sword aura spread out, causing Zhao Fu's hairs to stand on end. Zhao Fu also raised the Sin Dragon Sword in his hand and sent a massive wave of celestial power into it, causing the surrounding water droplets to quickly gather. Roar, roar, roar. Massive dragons' roars sounded out as the countless water droplets formed 9 massive water dragons that gave off massive auras as they roared towards the sky. The sound waves seemed to corporeal as they spread out. The 9 water dragons swam in the sky, and a massive aura spread out like a wild gale. Countless rocks and sand in the surroundings were blown away, creating a terrifying scene. Clang, clang, clang. Sword hums sounded out as Shun Qianhua controlled the 36 golden swords to fly toward Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast, and each sword gave off a golden ray of light that seemed to be able to pierce through the world. Roar, roar, roar. Zhao Fu raised his sword and vigorously slashed out, causing the 9 massive water dragons to give off massive dragon roars and give off terrifying power as they rushed forwards, creating a massive gale. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the 2 waves of power collided, as if 2 worlds had collided. A massive gale continuously spread out, and the ground continuously crumbled. Boom! In the end, the 9 water dragons gave off terrifying power and sent the 36 golden swords flying. The 9 water dragons gave off shocking power as they ferociously rushed towards Shun Qianhua. Shun Qianhua was unable to defend at all because she no longer had any strength left. She was sent flying by the massive power and crashed to the ground, coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile. "How do you feel now? I already said that with your current strength, you're not a match for me." Shun Qianhua furiously glared at Zhao Fu and said coldly, "Wait until I fully recover my strength. I'll definitely teach you a lesson." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "Is that so?" After saying this, Zhao Fu flew towards Shun Qianhua. Seeing that Zhao Fu was going to harm their young miss, the 6 female attendants immediately rushed over with powerful auras, standing guard by Shun Qianhua's side. As Shun Qianhua's female attendants, they were quite strong. Zhao Fu stopped and looked at the 6 female attendants in front of him. They were all quite beautiful and had mature figures. They had most likely been by Shun Qianhua's side since they were young, and they had feelings for each other. The mature and arrogant female attendant's expression became quite unsightly. She had thought that her young miss would teach Zhao Fu a lesson and cut off something from him. But now, her young miss had lost, and lost in a very sullen manner. This was because Zhao Fu was a despicable person who took advantage of others. She said, "Back then, I offended you. If you have anything to say, then come at me. Let my young miss go." Zhao Fu laughed and said, "I'm not interested in you. Also, even if you block in front of me, it's useless." Shun Qianhua looked at Zhao Fu and coldly harumphed. "What do you want to do? You should know my identity. If you dare to do anything to me, you will definitely die a miserable death. The goddess palace will definitely not let you off." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Now that you've said it like that, I'm even more interested in you. This way, after you submit, I'll be even happier." Shun Qianhua looked at Zhao Fu with disdain. "You want me to submit? There's no such person in this world." Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Perfect. I'm that person." Clang, clang, clang. Chains suddenly shot out from the ground, bringing with them waves of ferocious power as they shot towards the 6 female attendants, binding their bodies. They even bound their hands and hung their bodies in the air. The 6 female attendants struggled in panic, but were unable to break free at all. Zhao Fu came in front of Shun Qianhua, whose expression was quite unsightly. She no longer had the strength to escape, and could only choose to leave the secret realm. However, she could not enter the secret realm in the future, which made her very unwilling. However, seeing that Zhao Fu had ill intentions, she had no choice but to leave the secret realm. This caused Shun Qianhua to hatefully look at Zhao Fu, because all of this was caused by Zhao Fu. Chapter 2158. Shun Qianhua chose to leave the secret realm, and her body was about to disappear, but a massive wave of energy exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. A black dragon inscription barrier instantly spread out, enveloping an area of 10,000 meters. All of the mirrors outside the secret realm disappeared. Everyone understood that Zhao Fu had blocked all of the images. The palace mistress of the goddess palace's eyes released a dense, killing intent. Everyone could feel it, and their hair stood on end as they looked at her. Now that Shun Qianhua, as the goddess of the goddess palace, had fallen into that person's hands, no one knew what would happen. The palace mistress also had a bad premonition. Thinking that her most beloved daughter was going to be destroyed by a man, she wanted nothing more than to hack Zhao Fu into 1,000 pieces and scatter his soul. However, she was still unable to enter the secret realm and could only watch from here. Within the secret realm, Shun Qianhua's face became somewhat pale because she realized that she could no longer leave the secret realm. No matter what Zhao Fu wanted to do to her, she did not have the strength to resist. Shin Qianhua could only threaten, "You bastard, if you dare do anything to me, I'll definitely kill you." Zhao Fu ignored Shin Qianhua. With a trace of a smile on his face, he stretched out a hand and lifted Shun Qianhua's chin. Looking at her beautiful face and her domineering and arrogant aura, he lowered his head and kissed her on the mouth. Shun Qianhua stared at Zhao Fu with wide eyes, filled with killing intent, as if she wanted Zhao Fu to kill her 100 times. She never thought that she would be violated by a man, and this was even worse than death. Yu Chan's expression was also one of astonishment. She was usually so domineering and had just wanted to violate her Shun Qianhua, but now she was being violated by someone else, and that person was the man she hated the most. Thinking to there, Yu Chan could not help but laugh. This was retribution. However, Yu Chan felt that Zhao Fu was not a good person either, so he quickly recovered his strength and escaped. He did not want to end up like Shun Qianhua. Waves after waves of 6 desires demonic qi continuously entered Shun Qianhua's body. Unexpectedly, Shun Qianhua was unable to resist at all and quickly sank into it, intensely responding to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu discovered that her physique was also the body of desire, and it was not an ordinary body of desire. Women with this kind of physique would generally have great needs in that aspect. Looking at Shun Qianhua hugging his neck and madly kissing him, Zhao Fu did not stop her and continued to send the 6 desires demonic qi into her. A peerless genius like her was incredibly difficult to control, and Zhao Fu still needed to plant a 6 desires demonic seed in her body. The 6 female attendants and Yu Chan stared at the scene in front of them in shock. They did not expect Shun Qianhua to become like this, nor did they know what that person had done. More importantly, Zhao Fu actually took off Shun Qianhua's clothes. Thinking to there, Yu Chan's face couldn't help but become red. She turned her face away. The mature and arrogant maidservant was called Du Wan, and she angrily shouted, "Don't treat my young miss like this. We can serve you." However, Zhao Fu ignored them and started to continuously train Shin Qianhua. The scene was extremely alluring and fiery. Yu Chan's face was completely red. She did not look anymore and quickly recovered her strength, wanting to leave this place as soon as possible. The 6 female attendants' faces became slightly red, and they begged Zhao Fu to spare their young miss, saying that everything would be done to them. Suddenly, Shin Qianhua's body fell limply into Zhao Fu's embrace. Her face was completely red, and she regained some consciousness. Zhao Fu said teasingly, "You seem to want me." Shin Qianhua thought back to what had just happened. She had actually done such a thing to a man, and she had even looked like a slut. Shin Qianhua was about to go crazy. How could this be? Didn't she hate men? Didn't she hate men? Didn't she want to kill all men? Why did she enjoy doing this with the man in front of her? "Bastard, I'm going to kill you." Shin Qianhua slapped at Zhao Fu with both hands. Because she did not have much strength, her hands looked very weak, and it felt like she was lightly slapping at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu pressed her under his body and kissed her on the lips again. The 6 desires demonic qi continued to flow into her body, and Shun Qianhua quickly sank into it. In the end, Shun Qianhua was not wearing any clothes. Her face was red as she panted, and her eyes were filled with killing intent as she looked at Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu did not mind. He put down the 6 female attendants and hugged Du Wan in his embrace. He then kissed Du Wan's lips and sent the six desires' demonic chi into her. Duan quickly sank into it and finally understood why her young miss had become like this. She tightly hugged Zhao Fu and passionately responded to Zhao Fu. After Zhao Fu controlled the six female attendants, he stood to the side and smiled as he watched them gasp for breath on the ground. In actuality, Zhao Fu did not want to do this because the other party was a peerless genius and the faction behind her was incredibly terrifying. Doing such a thing in public would cause a lot of trouble. However, Shen Qianhua could only be blamed for this. If she had been a bit more polite, Zhao Fu naturally would not have done this. Moreover, subduing a peerless genius was incredibly beneficial because she would definitely become a peerless expert in the future. Zhao Fu thought of something and turned to look at Yu Chan, who was lying on the other side. Since things have already come to this, I don't mind adding Yu Chan to the mix. Seeing Zhao Fu walk towards her, Yu Chan looked quite panicked and hurriedly said, "Don't do that to me. I'll agree to anything you want." Zhao Fu ignored her and pressed down on her, kissing her on the mouth and continuously sending six desires' demonic chi into her. Unexpectedly, Yu Chan's willpower was quite resolute, and she continuously struggled. However, under Zhao Fu's persistence, she still sank into it in the end. Afterwards, Zhao Fu carried her to Shen Qianhua's side and taught them a lesson. Time gradually passed. He walked into the defensive barrier and looked at Zhao Fu teaching the women. Her face became red as she said softly, "Husband, it's already been 2 hours and you're still playing. It's already been 2 hours and you're still playing. There are a lot of people gathered outside, and some even wanted to break in, but we stopped them." Looking at Shi walk in, Zhao Fu gave an apologetic smile before looking at Shen Qianhua, Yu Chan, Du Wan, and the other female attendants in his embrace and said, "Put on your clothes and let's leave this place." Yu Chan nodded with a red face and started to put on her clothes. Shen Qianhua hatefully glared at Zhao Fu, and the female attendants helped her put on her clothes. The female attendants also quickly put on their clothes. Zhao Fu watched as they put on their clothes and waved his hand, causing a formless energy to spread out. The massive black defensive barrier dissipated. Everyone could see the scene within the defensive barrier. They saw Yu Chan, Shen Qianhua, and the six female attendants' faces flushed red, and they unintentionally gave off traces of seductiveness. This was what they looked like after doing it with someone else, and it was a very satisfied look. The scene immediately exploded, and countless people looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would dare to do such a thing. Chapter 21:59. This person is so daring. Doesn't he know who those two people are? One is the goddess of the goddess palace. The other is the holy maiden of the 9 mystic moon. Both of them are peerless geniuses, yet that person actually dared to violate them in public. That's right. I reckon that even the number 1 genius, Tianyu, would not dare to do such a thing. The goddess palace and the 9 mystic moon are the top powers of the divine realm. Whoever dares to do such a thing, the 2 powers will definitely kill him at all costs. This is looking down on the 2 great powers too much. Doesn't he know how terrifying the 2 great powers are? If they were to join forces, there wouldn't be a single power in the divine realm that wouldn't fear them. I've always been curious about the other party's identity. To dare do such a thing, either he's an idiot or his identity is extremely terrifying. He even has a holy level bloodline. I wonder how things will develop next. Ha ha ha. This person is quite admirable. Right now, he's the only one in the divine realm who can obtain the bodies of 2 peerless geniuses, and they're also peerless beauties of the divine realm. Just thinking about it makes me excited. That's right, I didn't even dare to dream about it before, but I never thought that someone would be able to do it today. It's really enviable, jealous, and hateful. If it were me, I would rather die. You guys better keep your voices down. Right now, that person is in the secret realm, and the 2 powers can't do anything to him. However, if your words are heard by those crazy women from the goddess palace, then you guys will definitely be in trouble. Everyone should indeed keep their voices down. We can't afford to offend those crazy women from the goddess palace. But now that their goddess is being forcefully violated by a man, I'm really happy. I can finally let out a sigh of relief. I've long since disliked those crazy women from the goddess palace. Do they know how to torture and kill men? Now that that person is directly violating their goddess, I really admire him. I really worship him. I really like this person. But the goddess palace's palace master's face was filled with killing intent, causing the surrounding temperature to become cold. She had wanted to kill Zhao Fu and make him suffer immense pain, but she had never thought that Zhao Fu would be even more ruthless than she had expected and forcefully ravage her daughter. Now, she hated Zhao Fu to the extreme and wanted to kill Zhao Fu madly. This was the first time a man had made her like this. I want to know everything about this person. Kill everyone related to him. Leave no one alive. Hearing her orders, the surrounding people from the goddess palace all had murderous looks on their faces as well. Right now, they were also filled with killing intent toward Zhao Fu. This person dared to forcefully violate their goddess, so he had to die. The 9 mystic moon's moon lord's expression was cold, and she was inwardly furious. This person was simply too daring to do such a thing, and she could not tolerate it. She also felt a trace of killing intent toward Zhao Fu. That person did not place the 9 mystic moon in his eyes at all. The Moon Lord also gave out countless orders to find all information about Zhao Fu. 9 God Moon's people's expressions were cold, and they also wanted to kill Zhao Fu. Everyone could not help but turn a look at the 2 major powers. This was an extreme humiliation for the 2 major powers. Ordinary powers would not be able to endure such humiliation, let alone top powers like themselves. If it wasn't for the secret realm's protection, that person would definitely have been blasted to smithereens by the 2 major powers. However, that person had offended 2 major powers. If he dared to appear in the God realm in the future, he would definitely be hunted down by countless people. It would be useless no matter where he ran, and his outcome would be extremely tragic. This was the result of offending 2 major powers. That person was seeking death. Finally, their gazes returned to the secret realm. There were many people gathered around the crater, and they were all attracted by the shockwaves from the battle. Seeing the women's red faces, they felt incredibly shocked. This person was simply too daring, violating 2 peerless geniuses just like that. However, looking at Shun Xianhua and Yu Chan's red faces and the flirtatious looks in their eyes, giving off an alluring aura, everyone felt incredibly envious. Hua Ling and the other women returned to Zhao Fu's side. Seeing Shun Xianhua and the other women's red faces, they naturally understood what was going on. However, they did not say anything, as they were already used to it. Some of the people who wanted to barge in immediately retreated, not daring to charge forward, afraid that Zhao Fu would cause trouble for them. Zhao Fu had a trace of a smile as he looked at Shun Qianhua and the other women and said, "Now, you can all be considered my women. Come with me and leave." Shun Qianhua hatefully glared at Zhao Fu. "Bastard, who's your woman?" The faces of the 6 female attendants standing behind Shun Qianhua were flushed red. They were still reminiscing about that feeling. They had no resistance against Zhao Fu. Du Wan, the arrogant and mature woman from before, had never thought that things would develop like this. Back then, Zhao Fu had humiliated her greatly, and she wanted to kill him. However, she had now submitted to him and enjoyed being toyed with by him. Yu Chan's face was slightly red, and she did not know what to do. This was because her body had already been violated by Zhao Fu, and she enjoyed this feeling. However, as his woman, Yu Chan could not do it. This was because she had only met Zhao Fu twice. Moreover, Zhao Fu had forced himself on her without her consent, which was something she could not accept. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and did not say anything, directly activating the 6 desires' demonic seed in their bodies. Yu Chan and Shun Qianhua's faces immediately became red, their breathing became hurried, and their eyes became watery. Yu Chan did her best to resist that feeling, and was also a bit angry in her heart. Zhao Fu had actually used such a method to deal with her. Shun Qianhua angrily threw herself into Zhao Fu's embrace, slapping at Zhao Fu with both hands. However, Zhao Fu hugged her and kissed her, causing Shun Qianhua to sink into it. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that the domineering Shun Qianhua, who hated men to the core and often tortured and killed men, would actually become so flirtatious and intimate with that person in front of everyone. Right now, she did not seem to resist at all. Instead, she was taking the initiative to enjoy it. How did that man do it? In everyone's hearts, he had become a god, because this was something that could not be done. Just now, they had said that he was forcefully violating someone, but now the other party was saying that he was taking the initiative to cooperate and that he was enjoying it, winning the admiration and envy of countless people. Following that, Shun Qianhua powerlessly leaned into Zhao Fu's embrace, a trace of charm on her face, and she was still immersed in it. Zhao Fu hugged her and came in front of Yuchan's face was currently red, and she struggled to resist that power. However, as Zhao Fu came closer and smelled Zhao Fu's scent, her heart started to beat faster and faster. In the end, she could not help but leap into Zhao Fu's embrace and start to kiss him. This was completely different from her cold and holy appearance from before. After a while, everyone watched in shock as Zhao Fu hugged the red-faced and powerless Shun Qianhua and Yuchan, as well as the other women, and flew away. Chapter 2160. 9 Mystic Moon and the Goddess Palace's people looked quite confused, not knowing what Zhao Fu had done to them to make Shun Qianhua and Yuchan submit to him and become his women. This was simply impossible. However, that person had really done it, and the two factions had never thought that things would develop like this. What should they do now? They had been furious that Zhao Fu had violated their most prestigious people, but now that they had submitted to that man, should they continue to kill him? The killing intent in 9 Mystic Moon's Moon Lord's eyes disappeared, and after thinking about it, she changed her orders to only investigate Zhao Fu for now and not do anything to harm Zhao Fu. She would not object to this. As long as Yuchan liked her, she could follow anyone. Moreover, Zhao Fu's background was not simple at all, and with his divine bloodline, his status was not lower than Yuchan's. The Goddess Palace's palace master's killing intent became even denser, and at the same time, she felt quite angry. She could not accept that her daughter had fallen in love with a man. Everyone else's expressions were also filled with killing intent. They could not accept that their goddess Shun Qianhua had become that despicable man's woman. Now, they wanted to kill Zhao Fu and bring Shun Qianhua back to her senses. This news immediately spread, shaking the surroundings and causing countless people to feel incredibly shocked. After all, everyone knew that Shun Qianhua and Yuchan were the 6th-ranked and 5th-ranked geniuses, and they were famous beauties in the godly world. Now, they had become that person's women. Countless people felt incredibly envious and jealous. This was something that no one could do, but that person's man had done it. No one knew why they had become that person's women. At the same time, some people sensed the changes in the secret realm's fate. Yuchan and Shun Qianhua had both failed and lost the right to become the ruler of the gods. Of the godly world's 9 peerless geniuses, Shun Qianhua, Yuchan, Devourer, and Bai Shogun had all lost the right to become the ruler of the godly world. Only Tianyu, Godker, Sha Ming, Lei Tianba, and Hikari Kimui remained. Because Mielu was from the godly domain, he was not one of the godly world's geniuses. On the other side, Zhao Fu held Yuchan with one hand and Shun Qianhua with the other as they flew through the sky. Everyone else followed behind them, feeling envious of Yuchan and Shun Qianhua's treatment. At this time, Shun Qianhua and Yuchan had both regained consciousness. Yuchan, who was in Zhao Fu's embrace, helplessly accepted the result of becoming Zhao Fu's woman. This was because she was no longer able to resist Zhao Fu. Her body and mind had also submitted to Zhao Fu. Shun Qianhua glared at Zhao Fu, still looking angry, but she still gently hugged Zhao Fu. Even though she did not want to admit it, she still submitted to Zhao Fu. Right now, she felt a little strange in her heart. She clearly hated men, but she couldn't hate the man in front of her. Instead, she enjoyed the feeling of being intimate with the man in front of her. She understood that a large part of the reason was the power in her body. However, apart from this power, Zhao Fu himself also gave off a formless charm, and she could feel that he was not ordinary. This was something that only those who had close contact with him could tell. Everyone quickly arrived at a dense forest. There was a purple demonic chi here, and there were many powerful auras within the forest. They gave off a very dangerous feeling, and no one dared to take a step closer. Zhao Fu did not mind and directly flew in with his people, because he sensed that there was an entrance to the legacy land there. Roar! 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 Massive roars of demonic beasts sounded out, and waves of powerful auras attacked toward Zhao Fu. These demonic beasts sensed that someone had intruded and immediately charged at Zhao Fu and the others, wanting to kill these intruders. Zhao Fu sensed the auras of these demonic beasts and let go of Shun Qianhua and Yu Chan. At that moment, demonic beasts gave off powerful auras and rushed out. There were horned tigers, human-faced black cows, 6-meter-long spiders, violet-scaled pythons, and 2-headed wolves. The countless demonic beasts savagely stared at Zhao Fu, who was standing at the front, and prepared to charge at Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a purple aura flame burst forth from Zhao Fu's body. A massive wave of power exploded out, forming a terrifying might that pressed down on the entire forest. The countless demonic beasts were so scared that they collapsed to the ground. Their bloodlines and souls felt a wave of terror as they looked at the young man in front of them. The young man's left eye socket gave off a powerful aura of suppression, and the purple aura flame around his body faintly turned into a dragon's shape. Every trace of power that his body gave off was incredibly terrifying, and it was a power that they feared greatly. Moreover, it came from their bloodlines, and it was the Demon Lord's power. Shen Qianhua and Yu Chan were also quite shocked. Seeing the massive amount of devil chi coming from Zhao Fu's body, the countless demonic beasts were so scared that they collapsed to the ground, not daring to move at all. Because the others knew who Zhao Fu was, they did not look too shocked. Zhao Fu continued to fly forwards, and the others followed behind him. In the end, Zhao Fu and the others came before a stone door. The stone door was on a grassy ground, and it was 10 meters tall and 4 meters wide. There were pictures of all sorts of demonic beasts carved on it, and every demonic beast seemed to be alive. They were incredibly savage, and the stone door gave off a massive devil power. Boom! At that moment, the stone door exploded out with a massive aura, giving off an intense violet light. Demonic beasts flooded out from the stone door, giving off savage auras as they attacked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression did not change, and another massive wave of devil chi spread out. The countless demonic beasts were so scared that they immediately knelt to the side, not daring to take another step forward. Yu Chan and the others were even more shocked. It was the first time they had seen such a scene. Zhao Fu still did not say anything, and his expression was calm as he flew towards the stone door. The stone door automatically opened, and countless traces of violet light shot out, as if it was welcoming its owner. Following this, Zhao Fu flew in, and the others followed. Everyone came to a violet space. The sky here was violet, and the grass and trees on the ground were quite lush. There were all sorts of animals everywhere, and there would occasionally be beast roars. There was a statue on a platform that was 1,000 meters tall. It had 2 horns on its head and had long, fluffy hair. It did not look ferocious, and it wore battle armor and gave off a massive might. Everyone knew that this was a demon god statue, and if they went up, they would be able to obtain the demon god's legacy power. Normally, demon gods would go and obtain this power, while other godly spirits would not, as their attributes did not match. Zhao Fu directly flew in front of the statue, and nothing happened. The statue's forehead gave off a violet light, and a massive wave of devil power spread out. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a violet ray of light gave off a massive aura and quickly shot towards Zhao Fu's body. Power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu did his best to absorb this power. Shun Qianhua and the others looked even more confused. They had never thought that such a thing would happen. Chapter 2161. Yuchan had long since known that Zhao Fu was not simple, but she had never thought that it would be like this. Not only did countless devil beasts fear him, but the core Godstone statue did not even go through any tests and directly gave him its legacy power. Moreover, the aura that Zhao Fu gave off was not that of a devil god's. For a person who was not a devil god to be valued so highly by a devil god, how could they not be shocked? Back when he had obtained the moon god's legacy, had he obtained the legacy so easily? She immediately felt that she and Zhao Fu were not on the same level at all. Shen Qianhua was also shocked. Just who was this bastard in front of her for him to be like this? She had thought that Zhao Fu was a despicable person who took advantage of others, but it seemed that Zhao Fu was quite terrifying. The people outside the secret realm were also quite shocked because this had happened in the demon god's legacy land. There had been no test for Zhao Fu at all, and he had directly given him all of his legacy power. Now, they were even more curious about who Zhao Fu was and why he could do this. It was simply too shocking. Boom! Boom! Explosions continuously sounded out as rays of violet light continuously shot out from the stone statue's forehead and landed on Zhao Fu's body, continuously sending power into Zhao Fu's body. Finally, the stone statue started to disappear, giving Zhao Fu all of the devil god's legacy. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the stone door exploded out with a massive wave of devil chi, giving off an intense violet light and a shocking aura as it turned into a ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the ray of violet light exploded out, and a powerful wave of light spread out as a wave of devil chi spread out in all directions. In the sky, there was a massive magic formation with 24 circles, and one of them gave off a violet light, making it seem as if the circle was filled with violet light. Because Zhao Fu had a devil lord constitution, he was able to easily absorb this devil god's power. He gave a trace of a smile as he flew to the women's side and said, "Let's go. We'll continue to search for the core god's legacy land." Yuchan paused and suddenly understood as she said in shock, "Husband, you are that person who has been going around collecting sovereign's might?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Yuchan and Shun Qianhua were both a bit shocked. Right now, the entire secret realm was searching for that person, the person who had always obtained the Lord's power, because he was the one who had brought forward the competition of the gods by countless years. At the same time, everyone in the secret plane was curious as to just what kind of person could obtain the legacy power of different overgods. Every overgod's test was extremely difficult. It was definitely not going to be easy. Although the test was very simple for peerless geniuses, it was still very difficult for them to obtain the inheritance of two main gods. However, that person had done it, and he had obtained many inheritances. These exceptional geniuses were also very surprised at who this person was. Now, that person was right in front of him. The method of obtaining the inheritance was also shocking. There was no need for any tests at all, and one could directly obtain the power of inheritance. Who the hell are you and this guy? How could he have such an ability? Shun Qianhua asked as she looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes. Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "Kiss me, and I'll tell you." Shun Qianhua glared at Zhao Fu angrily. "You bastard! Hurry up and tell me, or else I'll teach you a lesson." Yuchan looked at Zhao Fu curiously and asked, "Husband, I also want to know just who you are. I also want to know who you are. Now that we are all your women, we should have the right to know who you are, right?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's hard to say here, but I'll tell you after we leave this place." Yuchan smiled and nodded as she went up and hugged Zhao Fu. Seeing this, Shun Qianhua felt quite uncomfortable. Yuchan was the woman she had taken a fancy to, yet she was acting so intimately with another man. However, the key thing was that she had become that bastard's woman. After leaving the legacy land, Zhao Fu gave a simple explanation of his identity and released an energy barrier, blocking off all sound and images. This caused everyone outside the secret plane to feel incredibly furious. They had wanted to know Zhao Fu's identity, but at such a crucial moment, Zhao Fu had blocked off all sound and images. This was simply too infuriating. When Shun Qianhua, the 6 female attendants, and Yuchan heard that Zhao Fu was the second king of kings, they were all filled with shock. Such a legendary figure had appeared in front of them. Duan felt quite afraid. Zhao Fu's identity was so terrifying. No wonder he was not afraid of their young master. Luckily, Zhao Fu did not kill them. In the future, they would have to serve Zhao Fu with their young master. The other female attendants could not resist Zhao Fu at all, and after hearing about Zhao Fu's identity, they were incredibly excited and were very willing to serve Zhao Fu. To be able to follow an existence of this level, anything was worth it. Yuchan had never thought that when Zhao Fu had looked at her, she had thought that he was too ordinary and did not like him at all. Now that Zhao Fu had suddenly become the second king of kings, this change was simply too great. Yuchan acknowledged that she was indeed inferior to Zhao Fu. No wonder Zhao Fu had been favored by God. Shen Qianhua lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and asked, "Are the rumors about you true? Also, did you come here to awaken the god race's emperor's star?" Zhao Fu hugged her and smiled as he nodded. After hearing Zhao Fu's acknowledgement, Shun Qianhua felt quite shocked. News about the second king of kings had already spread throughout the world, and countless people knew how terrifying Zhao Fu was. Now, Zhao Fu had 6 emperor stars, and if he awakened the god race's emperor star, he would have 7 supreme emperor stars. People like her who did not have supreme emperor stars could not imagine how terrifying Zhao Fu was, and those who had supreme emperor stars understood how terrifying Zhao Fu was. Shun Qianhua lightly harumphed, "I can be your woman, but my mother and the goddess palace both hate men. They'll definitely do everything they can to kill you, but try not to harm them. I can also leave the godly realm with you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Mem, I agree. I came to the godly realm for the god race's supreme emperor star, and after dealing with this matter, I'll naturally return to the heaven-awakened world. When that time comes, you can leave with me." A trace of a smile appeared on Shun Qianhua's face. This was the best way to resolve this situation. She did not want the goddess palace to suffer because of her, and she could not imagine how terrifying someone like Zhao Fu would be in the future. By now, Shun Qianhua had returned to her normal appearance and had a domineering smile on her face as she wrapped her arms around Zhao Fu's neck and kissed him, saying, "Now, you bastard, you've come to spoil us." "Huh?" Jiuyin could not help but laugh. "That's impossible. What aspect of my master is lacking now?" Zhao Fu speechlessly rolled his eyes at Jiuyin. Chapter 2162. Shen Qianhua and the other women looked quite confused as they stared at Zhao Fu and asked, "Is this true? It seems like even though you were playing with our bodies before, you didn't really violate us." Zhao Fu helplessly explained that it was a problem with his cultivation technique, but everyone still did not fully believe him. Shun Qianhua also said that he was going to slay a dragon and use a dragon to refine a type of Longyangdan. This type of pill had a great effect on that aspect because dragons were naturally lustful and were exceptionally strong in that aspect. What she did not know was that Zhao Fu had long since possessed the dragon race's supreme constitution, the dragon emperor body, and consuming such a pill would not have much of an effect. Zhao Fu did not want to explain and continued to lead everyone to search for the legacy grounds. At that moment, Hikari Kimui found Lei Tianba. Hikari Kimui was still ranked 10th, while Lei Tianba was originally ranked 9th, and after defeating Bai Shouqian, he had become 8th. However, out of the bottom 6, the other 4 people had already lost their qualifications, leaving only the 2 of them. It was impossible for Guang Shenlian to directly challenge Sha Ming, who was ranked 4th, because he knew that he was not Sha Ming's match. He could not resist Sha Ming's terrifying killing intent, but he had some confidence in defeating Lei Tianba. After all, Lei Tianba was ranked 9th and was only slightly stronger than him. Lei Tianba knew that Hikari Kimui would find him because there was no one else apart from him. So he waited for Hikari Kimui in a wasteland. Lei Tianming stood by the side, waiting for his big brother and Hikari Kimui to fight. He believed that his big brother would definitely win. The countless people outside the secret realm understood that these two peerless geniuses would most likely fight, so they all focused their gazes on them, waiting for this terrifying battle to erupt. Lei Tianba and Hikari Kimui stood on one side and did not say anything. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Lei Tianba exploded out with a massive amount of power. His body gave off purple arcs of lightning, and the ground seemed to be covered by electricity, giving off sizzling sounds. Boom! Hikari Kimui exploded out with a powerful wave of light energy, and his body gave off an intense white light. A powerful might covered the surroundings, causing the countless creatures in the surroundings to feel terror. Whoosh! With Lei Tianba's personality, he directly chose to take the initiative to attack. He charged at Hikari Kimui at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind a few arcs of lightning. In the next second, he appeared in front of Hikari Kimui and punched at Hikari Kimui with countless lightning bolts. Hikari Kimui channeled a formidable power into the spear in his hand, causing it to radiate an intense light. Hikari Kimui then stabbed out with his spear, bringing with it an astonishing spear energy. Bang! A loud sound rang out as the spear, which was emitting an intense white light, collided with the fist, which was surrounded by countless lightning bolts. A strong wind suddenly spread out, causing countless weeds to sway. Boom! Lei Tianba's other fist, which was surrounded by countless lightning bolts, punched towards Hikari Kimui, resulting in a massive sound. Hikari Kimui put away his spear and blocked in front of him. The spear gave off countless rays of white light, blocking the incoming lightning bolts, and Hikari Kimui was forced back a step. At that moment, Lei Tianba's body appeared in front of Hikari Kimui, and his fist, which contained terrifying lightning power, blasted towards Hikari Kimui's chest. Hikari Kimui's body immediately gave off a white light, and a white defensive barrier appeared, blocking in front of Hikari Kimui. Bang! The terrifying fist slammed into the defensive barrier, resulting in a massive sound. Many cracks appeared on the defensive barrier, and Hikari Kimui was forced back 4 or 5 steps. However, he was not injured at all. Boom! Hikari Kimui looked at Lei Tianba and exploded out with a powerful light energy. A pair of white wings of light appeared on his back, giving off a powerful white light. Swish, swish, swish! Hikari Kimui vigorously flapped his wings of light, and rays of white light containing immense power shot towards Lei Tianba incredibly quickly. It was as if they could pierce through everything. Lei Tianba gathered a massive amount of power at his right hand, and countless purple lightning bolts exploded out, forming a massive thunder lion made of purple lightning. Lei Tianba punched out, and the thunder lion ferociously charged forwards with a massive amount of lightning power. Bang! The countless rays of white light collided with the massive thunder lion, resulting in a massive sound. An explosion blasted out, causing the ground to crack and rocks to fly everywhere. Suddenly, Hikari Kimui appeared behind Lei Tianba, and his spear gave off immense power as it stabbed towards Lei Tianba. Lei Tianba dodged to the side, avoiding this attack. He vigorously punched out, and 10 or so purple lightning bolts containing immense power shot towards Hikari Kimui. They flashed by incredibly quickly. Hikari Kimui's wings of light gave off an intense light, forming a semicircular white barrier in front of Hikari Kimui. Bang! The 10 or so bolts of lightning slammed against the barrier, but only some cracks appeared on the barrier and it did not shatter. Hikari Kimui raised his spear and sent a massive amount of power into it. The spear gave off a blinding white light, and a massive aura spread out. Boom! Hikari Kimui vigorously threw the spear towards Lei Tianba, drawing out a white ray of light, and giving off a ferocious aura. Lei Tianba loudly roared, and a shocking wave of lightning energy exploded out. Arm-thick bolts of lightning appeared around his body, causing the ground to continuously crack as a terrifying aura spread out. Boom! 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 Lei Tianba controlled the massive bolts of lightning, which contained destructive power as they smashed towards the incoming spear. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two attacks collided, resulting in an explosion. A terrifying shockwave spread out, causing the ground to crack and countless bolts of lightning and white light to shoot everywhere. In the end, the bolts of lightning dissipated and the spear was sent flying. Suddenly, the wings of light on Hikari Kimui's back flapped, and he quickly rushed in front of Lei Tianba. His palm contained immense power as it slammed into Lei Tianba's chest, causing Lei Tianba's body to be sent flying. Lei Tianba flew back 10 or so meters before stopping. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and there was a trace of anger on his face as he said, "I haven't seen you in a while, and you've become so powerful." Hikari Kamui replied, "Of course." Lei Tianba coldly laughed as he said, "You've become much more powerful, but don't even think about defeating me because of this." Thunder Emperor Divine Body. Boom! Suddenly, a massive explosion sounded out as Lei Tianba exploded out with boundless lightning energy. His body gave off an intense purple light that shined in all directions, causing the ground to continuously crack and collapse as purple arcs of lightning appeared in the air. His body started to turn into light, or in other words, illusory, becoming a person made of purple lightning. His body was surrounded by countless arcs of lightning, giving off a shocking lightning energy. He looked like a ruler of lightning, causing people to feel fear. Chapter 2163. Boom! The instant Lei Tianba unleashed the Thunder Emperor Divine Body, Lei Tianba gave off a massive amount of lightning energy as he charged at Hikari Kamui. His aura was incredibly powerful, and he was incredibly fast, like a violet ray of light. Hikari Kamui felt quite startled. The pair of wings of light on his back gave off a powerful light, forming a powerful semicircular barrier in front of him. Bang! A massive sound rang out as Lei Tianba slammed into the barrier, causing it to shatter. Light Shinmei's body was sent flying back dozens of meters before crashing to the ground, a trace of blood leaking out of the corner of his mouth. Lei Tianba gave a trace of a cold smile as he gave off massive amounts of lightning energy and continued to charge at Hikari Kamui. As he flew, the ground gave off countless arcs of lightning, and the flowers and grasses were all scorched, giving off a terrifying aura. Hikari Kamui crawled up from the ground, and his gaze was slightly cold as he looked at Lei Tianba charging at him. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive wave of power exploded out from Hikari Kamui's body, causing Hikari Kamui's body to give off an intense light. The countless rays of light turned into a ray of white light that shot into the sky, forming a white pillar of light. Heaven and earth power continuously flowed into the pillar of light, causing it to give off an intense light that dyed the sky white. A massive wave of power spread out as Hikari Kamui's body became 10,000 meters larger. He wore white armor and held a white spear, giving off a powerful aura and a godly martial aura. Boom! After becoming so much larger, Hikari Kamui swung his spear, sending out a massive wave of energy. The ground instantly collapsed, and a massive ravine appeared. Countless rocks shot out like a natural disaster. Lei Tianba, who was rushing over, was as small as an ant in front of the enormous light god's mercy. Facing this terrifying energy, Lei Tianba loudly roared and his body exploded. Countless bolts of lightning shot out, forming a 10,000-meter-long lightning dragon that gave off an aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything as it rushed forwards. Bang! That terrifying energy was blasted aside by the lightning dragon, and the lightning dragon continued to charge at Hikari Kamui, bringing with it countless bolts of lightning as it slammed into Hikari Kamui's chest, and Hikari Kamui was sent flying back. Hikari Kamui's huge body was sent flying hundreds of meters away. When he landed on the ground, he created a huge pit, causing the ground to tremble violently. The lightning dragon continued to give off immense power as it rushed towards Hikari Kamui. Countless bolts of purple lightning appeared around it, creating a terrifying scene. Hikari Kamui crawled up from the ground, and looking at the incoming lightning dragon, he sent a massive amount of power into his spear, causing it to give off an intense white light. Hikari Kamui vigorously threw the spear out. Boom! The spear gave off terrifying power and gave off an intense white light as it shot towards the lightning dragon. It was incredibly fast and unstoppable, making it impossible for Hikari Kamui to block it. The lightning dragon hurriedly spat out a massive pillar of lightning from its mouth. This massive pillar of lightning contained shocking power as it shot out and collided with the incoming spear. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as blinding light shined out, making it impossible to see anything clearly. A terrifying shock wave spread out, bringing with it an enormous gale that caused countless trees to sway. However, in the end, the spear was still sent flying by the pillar of lightning, but it was unable to harm the lightning dragon. However, by that moment, Hikari Kamui's palm was already facing the lightning dragon, and it gave off boundless white light as well as a shocking wave of power. Boom! A ray of white light containing immense power shot out at an extremely fast speed and slammed into Lei Long's body. Lei Long's body was sent flying and crashed into a mountain. The immense power of the lightning caused the mountain to shatter. Roar! The lightning dragon furiously roared at Hikari Kamui and gave off massive lightning power as it continued to rush at Hikari Kamui, giving off an incredibly ferocious aura. Hikari Kamui's expression was cold as he spread out his wings of light and sent a powerful wave of power into them, causing them to give off intense white light. Boom! 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 Countless rays of white light containing immense power shot towards the lightning dragon incredibly quickly. There were simply too many of them to count, and they seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. Facing so many rays of light, the lightning dragon loudly roared, and its body exploded out with countless massive bolts of lightning, covering the entire sky and making it seem as if the sky was filled with lightning. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two massive waves of power collided, causing blinding light to shine out and a terrifying shockwave to spread out. The countless rays of light were shattered by the countless bolts of lightning, and the lightning dragon once again slammed into Hikari Kamui's body, sending Hikari Kamui flying back. He crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. The lightning dragon gave off countless bolts of lightning and ferociously rushed forwards. Hikari Kamui got up from the ground and raised a hand towards the sky. A massive ray of white light containing terrifying power rushed into the sky, giving off a massive sound as a pillar of white light was formed. The pillar of white light continuously sent power into the sky, and heaven and earth power continuously gathered. The sky was quickly covered by white light, and looking at the sky, it was impossible to see anything. The lightning dragon continued to rush towards Hikari Kamui. Chapter 2164. Hikari Kamui spread his wings and sent a wave of power into them, causing them to give off an intense white light and form a white energy barrier. Bang! 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 The massive bolts of lightning slammed into the white barrier of light, resulting in massive sounds. The barrier of light shattered and the lightning dissipated, not harming Hikari Kamui at all. Boom! 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 At that moment, the black clouds shot out countless massive bolts of violet lightning, bringing with them destructive power as they ferociously blasted towards Hikari Kamui. They gave off massive sounds and caused everyone's ears to hurt. Hikari Kimui immediately controlled countless beams of light, which shot out with terrifying power from the sky, seeming to be able to pierce through everything. Bang! 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 Massive explosions continuously sounded out as the beams of light and lightning continuously clashed, resulting in explosions. Explosive power blasted out, causing the ground to continuously collapse, trees to snap, and rocks to fly everywhere. The people in the distance could hear the massive explosions, and a terrifying aura surged out. Everyone felt as if they had fallen into icy water, and their bodies instinctively trembled. This was definitely another battle between geniuses, and countless people excitedly and fearfully hurried over. After a series of explosions sounded out, large craters appeared in the ground. Each crater was at least hundreds of meters wide and covered the entire ground. There were shattered rocks and wood everywhere, creating a terrifying scene. Everyone who had hurried over looked incredibly shocked. This battle was quite terrifying, and it seemed as if it could destroy the heavens and earth. However, this battle was not over yet. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Hikari Kimui sent even more light power into the sky, causing the sky to give off an even more piercing light. The light power seemed to be able to purify everything. Rumble on the other side, the dark clouds continuously spun, forming an enormous vortex. A terrifying pressure spread out, and countless traces of purple light flashed within the vortex as divine punishment power spread out. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as countless traces of white light gathered into a ray of light that gave off-world purifying power as it shot forwards. As it streaked across the sky, the entire world seemed to be illuminated. Boom! A massive pillar of lightning shot out from the center of the vortex, giving off destructive power as it blasted forwards. The lightning was incredibly powerful, and it was simply unstoppable, causing space to twist. Bang! A deafening explosion rang out as the two huge beams of light collided. A destructive force spread out in an instant. Everything in the world was turned into nothingness in an instant. The entire world shook violently. A massive shockwave containing terrifying power swept out in all directions. Countless trees were destroyed, rocks were swept away, and massive cracks appeared on the ground. That terrifying aura instantly surged out, and countless people who were rushing over felt a bone-piercing chill. After everything calmed down, there was a crater that was tens of thousands of meters wide in the ground. The crater gave off traces of terrifying power, making people feel despair. Hikari Kimui's body fell to the side of the crater. His body was covered in blood, but Hikari Kimui did not give up. He stretched out a hand and pointed to the sky covered in dark clouds. Boundless white light shone out from the palm, and Hikari Kimui's full power surged out. The palm gave off an even more intense light, and a power that could purify everything flowed out. Holy and solemn hymns rang out all around. Hikari Kimui roared, heavenly hundredfold. Boom! A white beam of light containing terrifying power instantly shot out, forming white rings of light that wrapped around one another. There were 100 of them, and the outermost ring of light was tens of thousands of meters wide. The countless rings of light gave off terrifying power as they smashed towards the dark clouds. Space was unable to withstand this power and started to collapse. Boom! 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 Massive sounds rang out as bolts of lightning descended from the dark clouds, bringing with them the power of divine punishment. Space seemed to explode, and violet arcs of lightning filled the surroundings. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the 100 rings of light gave off world-destroying power as they smashed against the countless bolts of lightning. The bolts of lightning were scattered, and the 100 rings of light hit the dark clouds. The sky seemed to collapse, and a loud sound rang out. The thick black clouds were shattered by an unimaginable power, and a massive hole appeared. Countless rays of light shone out from the hole, and the black clouds began to dissipate. A massive wave of power spread out in the sky, and an aura of light covered the ground, causing people to feel a trace of warmth in their hearts. Lei Tianming stared at this scene in confusion. He felt that his big brother had lost. That attack was so terrifying. Outside the secret realm, the countless people also looked at the mirror in shock. They had never thought that Hikari Kamui would be able to unleash such a terrifying attack at the end. It seemed to be able to destroy everything, and everyone had underestimated him. Now, everyone stared at the battlefield. If there were no changes, Hikari Kamui would have won. Crackle. Thunder suddenly sounded out as a few arcs of lightning appeared in the air. More and more arcs of lightning appeared, forming a 100-meter-tall lightning giant. This giant was Lei Tianba. Everyone looked quite confused. Lei Tianba had withstood such a terrifying attack and still had not lost. However, his current power was not as terrifying as before. Lei Tianba only had this much power left, and he understood how terrifying Hikari Kamui's attack had been. He had temporarily retracted some of his power, dodging that terrifying attack. He had to admit that he had underestimated Hikari Kamui. Hikari Kamui looked at Lei Tianba with an unsightly expression. His body no longer had a trace of power, and his 10,000-meter-tall body had dissipated. Hikari Kamui had also returned to his original appearance. Seeing this, Lei Tianba did not have any reason to continue fighting. Hikari Kamui did not have a trace of power left, and Lei Tianba could easily defeat him. Moreover, the Secret Realm's rules had already determined that Lei Tianba was the victor. At that moment, Lei Tianba returned to his original appearance and looked at Hikari Kamui, who was lying on the ground, as he said, "Boy, your power has become so terrifying that you can already rank 7th. Even by Shogun is not as powerful as you." Hikari Kamui said weakly, "But I still lost to you." Lei Tianba revealed a trace of a smile. "I said that I wouldn't lose to you. Moreover, my goal is to become one of the top 3 geniuses. How could I lose here so easily?" Hikari Kamui said weakly, "Is that so? Those people are far more terrifying than us, and there are even 2 holy sons. I want to see if you have the ability to do so." Lei Tianba smiled as he said, "I naturally know that, but I also want to give it a try. Even if I lose, I will understand just how far off I am from them." Chapter 2165. Hikari Kamui did not say anything else. Lei Tianba brought his little brother and immediately left this place. They went to a secret place to recover their strength to prevent others from taking advantage of them. He knew about Yuchan and Shen Qianhua. The 2 of them had used up almost all of their strength after the battle, which was why they were taken advantage of by a despicable person. More importantly, the 2 peerless beauties had become that bastard's women just like that. Lei Tianba did not believe this, because the 2 of them were peerless geniuses and famous beauties in the God realm. How could they become someone else's women just like that? Moreover, the 2 of them had the same man. Lei Tianba also wanted to possess these 2 peerless beauties. With their looks, no man would reject them, especially that Shen Qianhua, who had a domineering and barbaric personality and was quite savage. Back then, Lei Tianba had been taught a lesson by her, and something under his body had almost been cut off. He still remembered this. Back then, Lei Tianba had wanted Shen Qianhua to submit to him. He would use all sorts of methods to teach her a lesson and vent his anger. To the God realm, Shen Qianhua was indeed a rather special existence. Countless men feared her, but they could not help but fantasize that subduing such a woman would be an unparalleled glory. On the other side, Zhao Fu brought the girls to another entrance to the Master God's legacy land. A planet that was a few hundred meters wide floated above a mountain peak, giving off faint starlight and a massive wave of star energy. This should be the Star Master God's legacy land. Zhao Fu was still the same as he rushed forward with a powerful aura. The planet that was a few hundred meters wide gave off red starlight, and a massive wave of star energy surged out. Stars that were a few meters wide slowly floated in the air, covering the surroundings and giving off a shocking aura. After the stars appeared, they were about to attack Zhao Fu. Suddenly, the countless stars that were charging towards Zhao Fu felt the aura from Zhao Fu's body and stopped. They obediently retreated to the side and did not release any power, as if they had seen their master. This made Zhao Fu, who had been preparing to act, feel quite surprised. He did not have any powerful star energy and was not a Star Lord. So why were these stars so afraid of him? In the Devil God and Demon God's legacy land, they had acted like this because Zhao Fu had two supreme Emperor stars. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu understood the reason. Even though Zhao Fu did not have any powerful star energy and was not a Star Lord, Zhao Fu had 6 monstrous Emperor stars, which were also stars. That was why these stars were so obedient and afraid of Zhao Fu. Those were 6 supreme Emperor stars, and they were most likely even more terrifying than ordinary Star Lords. However, no one felt too surprised. After knowing Zhao Fu's identity, they could understand even if something strange happened. After all, the man in front of them was the legendary second King of Kings. Shen Qianhua lightly laughed and did not say anything. After all, in the history of the Heaven Awakened world, there had never been anyone who had 6 supreme Emperor stars. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and did not say anything. In the history of the Heaven Awakened world, no one had ever had 6 supreme Emperor stars. Following this, Zhao Fu lightly laughed and did not say anything. In the history of the Heaven Awakened world, there had never been anyone who had 6 supreme Emperor stars. Following this, Zhao Fu brought everyone into the legacy space. The ground here was a grassy plain, and in the deep blue sky, there were massive stars, creating a beautiful scene. There was a stage with a 1,000-meter tall stone statue on it. This stone statue was wearing a cloak, making it difficult to see its appearance. However, from its figure, it seemed to be a woman, and it gave off a powerful wave of star energy. Zhao Fu directly flew in front of the stone statue and did not receive any attacks or pressure. The stone statue's forehead gave off a red light, and a wave of star energy spread out as small stars appeared around its forehead. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a red ray of light shot out from the stone statue's forehead, giving off a massive aura as it landed on Zhao Fu's body. The massive wave of star energy continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and focused on absorbing this power. Boom! 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 Following this, explosions continuously sounded out as red rays of light continuously shot out. Star energy continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body, and in that moment, Zhao Fu felt his power quickly grow. After a final explosion sounded out, the stone statue's powerful aura disappeared, and its body became hazy before disappearing. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the star exploded out with a massive wave of star energy, giving off an intense red light and a shocking aura as it turned into a red ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the red ray of light exploded, and a powerful wave of light spread out like a hot knife through butter. A wave of star energy flowed out in all directions. In the sky, there was a massive magic formation with 24 circles, and one of them gave off a red light. It was as if the circle was filled with red light. System announcement. The 3rd stage of the competition has begun. Those who remain here must raise their Pantheon mark to the gold grade. Hearing this system announcement, even though the others were not too surprised, their expressions were still quite grim to behold, and some were even quite furious. Bastards! The 2nd stage of the competition hasn't even ended, and now the 3rd stage has begun? Are you going to let us live? How infuriating! Why did you get my legacy power so quickly? I knew it would be like this, so I did my best to search for treasures instead of points. That terrifying person wouldn't care if we lived or died, and you don't have the ability to reason with him. Accept your fate. What's the point of shouting here? If you have the ability, Go curse that terrifying person a few times and tell him not to get his legacy power so quickly. Let's see if he'll kill you. Sigh. Even though I've raised my Pantheon mark to the gold grade, it's useless. I feel that the final stage of the competition will begin very soon. Why are there so many changes in the competition this time? That's right. Let's not think about anything else. I wonder who that person is, and how did he get the core god's legacy power so quickly? More importantly, the core god even gave him the legacy power. It feels so strange. After the system announcement sounded out, a formless energy wrapped around everyone and teleported them out of the godly secret plane. They appeared on the platform where they had been, and there were many of them. This time, a large portion of the people had been eliminated, reducing the number of people in the secret plane by more than half. Chapter 2166. Most of the people here had silver gray god marks, and those with blue gray god marks were those who had just been teleported out. In the sky, there were 24 magic circles, and now 18 of them are giving off different colored lights. There is also godly power, causing the entire magic circle to seem quite oppressive. Now, there were only 6 circles left. Once 6 of them gave off light, the 24 circles would all light up, and the competition for the king of God's position would truly begin. In actuality, this was how the competition would normally go. Before, the 24 circles would not give off light at all, and each stage would last for a long time before the competition for the king of God's position would begin. Making all 24 circles give off light was quite difficult, as there were not many geniuses who could do this. Now, 90% of the people in the secret realm did not continue to fight to gain points. They hurriedly searched for treasures, as it was impossible for them to obtain the king of God's position. As such, there was no need for them to participate in the final trial. Because Zhao Fu had 6 Emperor stars, he quickly absorbed star power and felt that his 10,000 god power was even more powerful than before. He was only 6 more types of god power away from becoming a sovereign power in the godly world. At the same time, obtaining the stellar god's legacy power gave him many benefits. Zhao Fu now had the ability to sense stars and borrow their power. By now, Zhao Fu could more clearly sense the 6 Emperor stars and could sense every change in them. Apart from these Emperor stars, Zhao Fu also had a stronger sense of the other ordinary stars. He could clearly sense where they were and could even gather the star power of other stars. Zhao Fu felt that he could use this ability to sense if someone else had a general star or a king star. Zhao Fu was quite satisfied with this ability and smiled as he said to the women, "Let's leave this place and continue to search for the God Legacy Land. I'm looking forward to the changes after I fuse with the 24 God Legacy Land." Shi Wei smiled as she said, "Husband, I'm also looking forward to seeing just how terrifying the 10,000 God power will be." Yu Chan and Shun Xianhua were a bit confused. Because they had just joined Zhao Fu's team, there were some things that they were not clear about. Originally, Zhao Fu had fused the power of countless divine spirits to form a type of 10,000 deities' power. Now, Zhao Fu was planning on fusing the power of 24 sovereigns into it. When countless godly spirits' divine power fused together, the first feeling that this type of power was that it was incredibly powerful. After all, with so much divine power, even if it was ordinary, it would become an incredibly terrifying power. The inheritance power of the 24 overgods was also extremely terrifying. It originated from the creation god's power and was one of the strongest divine powers in the immortal world. Countless geniuses entered the mystery realm to obtain this power. Just thinking about the power of countless deities and the power of 24 core gods was shocking. It was definitely a supreme power, and it was a supreme power that belonged solely to Zhao Fu. As it had been created by Zhao Fu, it was impossible for others to possess it. They also understood why Zhao Fu's power was called the power of 10,000 gods. It turned out that he really wanted to fuse the power of 10,000 gods. After hearing about this, they also looked forward to seeing just how terrifying this power of 10,000 gods would be after it was formed. Shun Qianhua laughed as she said, "After you successfully fuse with it, I want to grasp this power as well." This was the power of a sovereign, and it was far more powerful than core God's power. No one would not be moved by it. Most importantly, Zhao Fu's power of 10,000 deities was not some bloodline power or emperor star power. It could only rely on bloodlines and emperor stars to give others great power. The power of 10,000 deities could be like those core gods, giving a portion of their divine power to others, allowing them to grasp this power. Moreover, the power of 10,000 deities was the fusion of countless deities' power, and it could adapt to any deity's power. Hearing Shun Qianhua's words, the women looked at Zhao Fu in anticipation, wanting to obtain this type of supreme power as well. Zhao Fu nodded and agreed. As his women, becoming stronger would definitely be of great benefit to him. Shun Qianhua smiled and went up to hug Zhao Fu, taking the initiative to give him a kiss. Her personality was like this. She would do whatever she wanted to do. However, she soon blushed and gasped weakly in Zhao Fu's arms. Zhao Fu had a trace of smile on his face as he hugged Shun Qianhua. Looking at her flirtatious look, he felt a sense of conquest. Yuchan suddenly thought of something. It seems that the Demon Emperor's god Kerr also has the power to devour and fuse with tens of thousands of gods, and it's incredibly powerful. In just 10 or so years, it went from a small demon god to a peerless genius that the entire godly realm knows about. Now it's ranked 3rd, and it's a legendary figure. His origin seems to be very mysterious. I'm not sure why he has this kind of power. Does it have anything to do with you? Why do you have such a power? Hearing this, everyone's gazes fell on Zhao Fu's body. Only now did they remember that God Kerr also had the power to devour and fuse with tens of thousands of gods. This kind of power was incredibly terrifying, and it was impossible for ordinary people to have it. Now, that both Zhao Fu and God Kerr had this kind of power, everyone could not help but connect the dots. God Kerr was incredibly famous, and there was no one in the godly realm who did not know his name. If it wasn't for Miel Lu from the godly domain, he would be the second-ranked expert in the godly realm. Adding on all of the things that God Kerr had done, such as becoming a peerless genius in just 10 or so years, becoming the #1 Emperor Star, defeating a few of the Demon God Emperor's Imperial Princes, becoming the Demon God Emperor's #1 Imperial Prince, and continuously slaughtering godly spirits. It was incredibly difficult for everyone not to know about him, and they all feared his ability to devour and fuse with tens of thousands of gods. Yuchan was right. Just these things alone made God Kerr a legendary figure, and he was like a rising star. This caused many people to worship him, and they felt that it was very likely that he would awaken the god race's supreme emperor star in this competition and become a terrifying figure that even geniuses would look up to. Now, even Shun Qianhua and Yuchan, who were also peerless geniuses, felt quite wary of him. If there was no need, they did not want to have any contact with such a terrifying person. After all, Shun Qianhua and Yuchan were only ranked 5th and 6th, and they were quite far away from God Kerr. Shun Qianhua and Yuchan knew this very well. Right now, they were quite curious as to why both Zhao Fu and God Kerr had this kind of power, and they looked at Zhao Fu, wanting to know why. Hearing this, Zhao Fu could not help but smile. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.